live.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hey.
It is June 25th. Yes.
Yep.
June 25th. Okay. It is June 25th. It is Friday. We are gathered, the four of us around here again. It is getting closer to the midpoint of summer for those of us, there's none of us that really that are going to school anymore. So summer vacation is not really a thing. None of us are school teachers either.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about vacation time being up. But it is getting towards the middle point of summer. It's almost July 4th, which means I think everybody's going to go absolutely nuts and crazy with the July 4th celebration this year, especially after the last 20 months that we've had.
After 2020?
Yeah, after all of 2020 and then all of 2021 so far, I think it's fair to say that there's going to be a lot of shit going down come July 4th weekend.
It's like Kevin Hart. It's about to go down.
Yes.
It's going to look like a war scene on water.
God.
Like people shooting off fireworks for 4th of July.
It might literally be Independence Day with all the UFO talk that's like been coming out recently.
I think it's important to say, on June 25th, I think it's important to say, hopefully everyone has a safe July 4th coming up.
Yeah.
I just want to put that out there 2 weeks in advance. That way people can stew on that for 2 weeks and hopefully not
Disregard us.
Well, that, but also maybe not like go completely into anarchy and just make it look like the purge out there where it's like everybody for themselves partying for July 4th.
Fingers crossed. We can only hope
just be safe.
Hope for so much.
So, in keeping with our weekly, the first part of our podcast, we're going to do weekly reflections. And so for today, I'd like to start with Nightmare Fuel.
All right. Any particular reason you started with me?
I was going to go to my right.
Oh.
Well, you're also wearing like a fabulous shirt.
And
It is.
Yeah.
So
stunning.
I got this shirt from 1776united.com with our promo code Long Live Junto. That's all caps, Long Live Junto, and that's 15% off your order. So, I mean, you can't really beat that deal.
Yeah, you don't have to wait for a holiday.
Yeah.
We are the holiday.
Yeah, I am the gift, as they say. Week was good. I don't know if you can hear, but I'm kind of struck with some allergies right now, just some congestion. Like, I don't know what's in the air. Like, I probably just mowed the grass a little too. Like, it was at the beginning, but
That's how mine feels right now.
really,
Yeah. And that was starting yesterday.
Sudafed.
yeah. But yeah. So I had a little bit of just this allergies. This is annoying. But Wednesday was my birthday, and I got to celebrate with my family and Beef. Beef and I and my dad, we went to play a round of golf, and that was awesome. My dad had a pretty sweet golfer moment. He hit an eagle in from like 130 yards out.
Damn.
Yeah, it was.
And you witnessed
I
every
witnessed
moment of
every
that.
second of it.
That's
like,
pretty cool.
So I was telling the guys, my dad has like eye issues, and he has me watch his shots, and he hit it, and it was like a low running shot, and it hit just in front of the green and started rolling up, and I was like, oh, that's on the green, and I was like, wait, roll, and then I saw it go in the hole, and I just lost it on the course. I was like, that's awesome. And my dad was like, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, my dad was just like, that went in? Like, he had this look of shock on his face. Like, total, like, how did that happen?
How far out did you say he was?
It was like 130 yards.
Okay.
Yeah. It was probably one of the coolest, like, golf moments I've had. Just
Had
like
he eagled before?
He has had a few eagles before.
Okay.
But that was one I've been present
What's
for.
that like?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Rest of the week was pretty chill. Work has been just pretty smooth sailing. I'm training on some new processes, so just adding to the repertoire, like just more flexibility at work. It was a really chill week. I enjoyed it. That was my week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want me to I'm gonna pass it back to you, Coach.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep
Yeah.
going to the right. So the next one's gonna be Beef.
All right. So bam.
It was pretty. So Monday lost the championship game. Nightmare Phil stepped in kind of on the second.
Oh, that's right. I
Yeah.
played softball.
Yeah, we played softball. He called someone the R word, and
He was an R word. He was literally.
he almost got canceled in front of the whole world.
Good.
Damn.
I used it literally as dictionary defines it, and they got mad at me.
It is true.
This guy. Okay, you want me to tell the story? Or you want to tell it?
No, you tell it.
Okay.
You're passionate about this.
So, in the middle of the game, this guy's drone falls in like
That's
short.
Drone.
That's not a
Drone.
metaphor for a penis. By the way.
Yeah. His member.
Okay.
No, a drone. His drone fell in the middle of like short center field. Like, there's people behind the drone. Like, it's in the middle of play,
Uh-huh.
and everyone's like, "What is that out there?" And we figure out it's a drone. And
Aliens.
yeah, and the guy like walks just really casually in the middle of play, and is like standing over the drone, like trying to reconnect it.
In the
like,
middle of
middle
like a game.
of a game, like in between pitches.
Are you shitting?
No, he's like messing with it, like trying to reconnect it,
Uh-huh.
and everyone's like, "Come on, get off the field!" I was like, "Pick it up, retard!" He's
Yeah.
like, he like looked up, and everyone was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "He's impeding." You want me to say he's impeding the
Is there a
process?
screenshot now? Just now?
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah, just flamed. He's impeding the process of the game. That is the definition of the R word. I won't say it again, lest Twitch overlords come back to us. I only said it one time, but what do you want me to say? Like, you're impeding the process of the game?
Yeah.
No, you are.
Or
I guess in that
Sorry.
Pick up the thing and go.
You dumbass.
Dumbass-
Well,
dumbass could have.
everyone had said that already, so I thought we would escalate it.
Maybe
Well, you did
Oh,
get
well.
his.
You should've just
I mean,
stopped
you
that.
did get his attention, so I mean, maybe he's.
I think you just trumped
Yeah.
everybody.
Trumped it, like literally trumped.
Like,
Still Trump.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
You probably would have gotten the same kind of looks from
I
people.
probably would have, but yeah.
I love Donald Trump. Just go-
Oh.
Just keep saying it.
And now our Twitch screen is shut
Yeah,
down.
now R word plus the T word, it's over.
Oh, Donald Trump's following us now.
Oh sweet, we're on his internet.
That and McAfee.
Is that the FBI knocking
Yeah.
at your door?
Yeah. Wait, huh? But yeah, that was my softball. Go ahead, sorry. Softball
Yeah, so
story.
the game sucked. Oh, we won the first game.
We won the first. We came back the
Yeah,
first game. That was
first game
cool.
we won, and then second game we got destroyed. And that was rough. And then dog got sick throughout the week, and we took him to the vet today. That was just troublesome. It's a puppy, so just worried. He had blood work come back and everything, so everything's fine with Walter.
Oh,
Good.
that's good. That's
yeah,
good.
it was good news.
Junto puppy.
And then
What did they say it was due to?
it was the salmon, so I paid over $300
Whoa.
for
Whoa.
to be told that
Almost lost
salmon
some teeth
is
there.
Just push that out.
Giving him salmon was like not appropriate.
Was it like raw salmon or is it like just salmon
like
in
the
general?
beef, so yeah, just changing his diet.
Yeah.
Oh.
Was like caused it, I guess, but he just didn't.
I guess that dog can't eat fancy anymore.
Yeah, he likes them. He eats them no problem, but like the bile, he just peak bile,
Yeah.
and yeah. it was-
Cucumbers are good.
Let me make sure that everyone's.
Oh.
good.
Oh, it was off.
Was?
Yeah, good catch.
Yeah.
Hello?
No, it's off now.
Yeah, hello. No, it was off. I just turned
Yeah,
it
it's
back
good
on.
now. Cool.
Yeah, I just turned it back on.
Beef is back.
Oops.
Well, hopefully
It
that
was
was
picking up, I think, from someone else's mic, so I think we should be okay.
Okay.
But Junto puppy is healthy.
Yeah, so he's good. And then we had your birthday, celebrated that. We have your birthday again, where we're doing another celebration of your birthday. You get a lot of celebrations.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you turn 30.
Ah,
Yeah.
shush.
Hey, and we had.
I'm not there
Father's Day
yet, so I
too,
can talk about it.
Guys,
Oh,
we
yeah,
had Father's
yeah,
Day
we
on
had Fathers.
Sunday.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
Fathers. I went over, cooked something for my dad, and then but it was pretty chill, like low key. So
Yeah.
really low key, and then and yeah, I don't know if you wanted to say your Father's Day.
Oh, we went to a restaurant called Red O in
Red
Newport
O.
Beach. It's like really high end Mexican food,
Oh,
and
nice.
it is really good. I had this like shrimp pasta poblano sauce. Damn. It was one of the best. It's one of the best pastas I've ever had.
Nice.
Yeah.
Red O. Okay.
Yeah,
Gotta
I'll
make a note of
text
that.
it to you. Yeah. So
Yeah, I think that wraps it up. Yeah, if you want to go. You want
Okay.
to
Alright.
So last Saturday I had my cousin's wedding shower. Her and her husband, they're already married, but they had a wedding shower and they're actually going to proceed with their wedding, where they had to postpone it till July, this year in July. So versus last year. Same with my wife and I. So we're pushing it off next year. So yeah, that was cool. It was my first time ever being at like a joint wedding shower, because usually it's just for like the women only, and all the girls go there. So yeah, it was a new experience for me, but it was really fun. I had a blast. My whole family was over there. from my mom's side. So like it was our first time like kind of getting together as a family. So it was really cool, and it was cool to like not see everyone like so tense and like kind of distance from each other and wearing masks. Like everyone seemed really chill and like just hanging out. Girls were having mimosas, drinking. So I got shaved ice, so I was a happy camper.
So it's like back to normal. Mimosas.
Yeah, and I think the one thing I probably love and I just indulged in was like all the good food, like all the home cooked family meal stuff.
Yeah.
It was like I had a heyday. It was so fun. So we did that, and then I had a good Sunday with my dad. We had a Father's Day get together at his house, and we ended up doing Korean barbecue at home. So we ended up my brother bought all the meat, and then I got all the sides and other fixings and salad, dressing, stuff like that. And yeah, we usually use one of those gas stoves where you have those little mini propane tanks or whatever, and you could use them for camping or anything. But since we're like looking online and reading about like Korean barbecues at home and people are starting to do it more because of the pandemic, people are mentioning like recommending an electric stove, because when you use the gas one, especially like I have memorabilia and framings, or you have pictures in your home, it's going to leave like, it could leave like grease stains or whatever from like all the smoke and stuff. With the electric stove, like it does produce some smoke and everything, but it doesn't like stick to the walls or stick to the ground. If you guys know, like when you go to a Korean barbecue, normally if they don't clean up the floors every night consistently, you notice the ground's like sticky and your feet like stick to the ground sometimes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So electric stoves, man, I thought it might affect like the way the meat would cook, but dude, it was phenomenal. Even my brother was kind of like iffy about it, and so was my wife. Like she wasn't for it, and then after everyone ate, they're like, that was the best idea ever. I felt like a champion, because like it just came in clutch. It was a huge, like way bigger dish of you can get on Amazon for like $24-30, and it's a huge grill on top, and then it has a plastic outer lining that the grill sits in, and that's where you plug in the electric plug to start it up. And then it has a dish that you can't even see it visible. So you know how the grease comes out and you have to catch it in a cup usually, and you can see all the grease coming out, right? This one has like a hidden tray, and it just goes in the tray. And then every now and then you just empty it out in a can or something like that. So it was just like, it was the best. Yeah. So
How many like fixins did you have?
Oh my gosh. So that was the crazy thing, is like we thought we had way too much meat, and we like my wife and I walked away with like some leftovers to take home and eat at home, but man, I think we went through so much meat.
What'd you guys have? What were the
Brisket, beef belly,
oh, nice.
pork belly. We had like sliced, like we had the long like bacon type of fat pork belly, then we had the thin slice.
That's good stuff.
My wife had we got shrimp. And then like veggies like mushrooms, garlic, green onion, stuff like that. And then we get all the sides, like all the typical stuff you get at Korean barbecues. All of us really like that stuff. So like kimchi, the glass noodles, which is called japchae, the potato salad,
The rice paper? Or what-
rice paper.
yeah.
Oh, you guys even have rice paper?
Well, I don't care for the rice paper. I prefer just wrapping it in lettuce. But my brother likes the radish paper.
Radish, yeah.
Yeah, so it's called daikon. So he got that. Yeah, and we had all the fixing. It was great. And then, this week it was just work as always. We're getting to the end of the quarter, so for salespeople, it's like always stressful because you're trying to get stuff done at the end of the quarter, and then you got to stress about not only starting a new quarter and try and meet your quota, but you have like follow up like quarterly business reviews with the entire e-board. So you have to do presentations and you have to make sure you're hitting your numbers. So yeah, it's like it's bittersweet that we're coming to a close on Q3, but it's definitely stressful because I'm trying to finish out the year really strong, and I'm literally trying to break records. So
Do it.
yeah, so work's been great. Today honestly was like, I haven't had a bad day in quite a while, knock on wood, but today was probably the worst of them because it was just like everything was going so well. I was ready to like get things prepped and head over here for Junto, right? And I literally, as I'm like walking my dog out to go to the restroom before I leave, my wife calls me and she's pretty much like on the phone telling me like she had a really bad migraine at work, and when she gets a migraine, it's like intense. Like she has to go to a dark room, lay down, drink some water, but she went through all the cycles and she still wasn't good. So I was about to head down, pick her up, and luckily her manager is so sweet that her manager drove her all the way down from Norwalk back to our home and dropped her off. And then unfortunately, as I was running out trying to get her, and then she tells me on the phone it's okay, the door is closing behind my back, and I forgot I locked it from the inside out, and I was like, well, I'm locked out. So I'm in my garage for a good 30-40 minutes trying to lockpick my own door and sweating bullets, and it did not work. So note to self, I need to get a lockpicking kit or something, because I couldn't even find a freaking paperclip in my garage.
At least a spare key.
Yeah, it's crazy because, like, with all this stuff I have, it's like I never have enough. I have a whole toolbox, and nothing in that toolbox can help me get back inside my home. So I'm going to buy a lockpicking kit for sure.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, things are going good.
That's good.
I wonder where the manager lives. Because that's like
Fullerton.
Whoa, what a drive. Yeah. A lot of
So
respect.
nowhere close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad you guys said that
Yeah.
because I asked my wife, I was like, where does your, and I think she's on the stream right now, but I was like, where does your manager live? Because, like, is that even on her way? I feel bad. Like, I can come get you. And she's like, no, it's on the way. And I was like, where? She's like, Fullerton. I'm like, babe.
It was on the way, and she had to keep
I was
going.
like, that's on the way,
Yeah.
and then it's past it, and then it's on Chicago back. Like,
Yeah.
but
Well, especially during the rush hour. So, man, that lady deserves a shout out for sure.
yeah. So shout out to my wife's manager at Costco in Norwalk. She's a superhero. She saved the day today.
That's her
for
full
us.
name, by the way. Everyone at home.
Yeah.
Manager.
Superhero
Yeah,
manager.
she's really cool. I met her in person too, and she's just a really nice lady. And I think that's why like my wife and her work so well. They're just two really like hardworking women. So and they respect each other. So yeah, but that's my week.
You should have her over for Korean barbecue.
We could even do that
Maybe.
right here as a
Dude,
cooking junto.
I don't know about you guys or
Yeah.
viewers at
That would
home,
be
but
cool.
I've been having a tough time with ants, man.
You talk to my dad tomorrow
Okay.
because to get the product he uses, he told me and then I forgot. So
Okay.
he literally sets it around every like season, and they never have ant problems. We used to have really bad ant problems.
Okay.
He
I'm
started
talking
using
about
this stuff.
ants like you never see. Like
Yeah.
they come out of any fucking crevice, and
Yeah.
I swear I've killed so many ant colonies. It's not even funny, and
Yeah.
I don't know how they keep coming back. Because
We-
before it was really bad.
Yeah.
Now it's just like it's settling down. But I just want them gone.
Yeah.
Like I'm so anal. I'll spot the one ant out of my whole place, and I'll see it crawling.
The little
We just see a
scout.
bomb go off in Santa Ana.
Yeah. Well, like
That'll do it.
remember like my parents like growing up, it was 2 boys. So
Yeah.
there was crumbs and
Yes.
shit left everywhere.
Boys.
Yeah. What?
Nothing.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I was implying you did it in adulthood too.
Oh yeah. Well,
yeah.
again, because of this hack,
Boys.
because of this product that my dad uses that I can't remember, we didn't have to worry about it.
What if
So-
like you ate some of that
Dude,
product?
the crumbs is so real, man. Because you'll see the ants pick that up. But you know what's so annoying is like I clean this place so much that the ants have nothing to carry other than their other dead fellow friends on their backs, and I'm just like, what the hell? Like, why
Cannibals.
are you in my home? It's probably because my house is so cool. I keep it at like 66 at all times.
Nice.
So yeah, but that's been my week. The hell with ants.
Yeah. Ants. What do we need them for?
Yeah.
Ant-Man, Paul Rudd.
All right, you're
So
up.
does that leave me?
I think that leaves you. We
So
don't
my,
have our imaginary friends on.
no, we don't. My week has been an interesting week to say the least.
Yeah.
We had Father's Day. We took my dad to brunch at Lazy Dog, which I kind of forgot that Lazy Dog does brunch. and,
Review.
It was good.
Really?
Yeah, we
Okay.
both got the breakfast burrito,
Okay.
which was a lot bigger than I think either of us were expecting it to be. So we took that home, and it was great. It was a second meal for leftovers.
Nice.
But overall, it was really nice. It was fun to like get to go somewhere out and then like be able to not have to wait for forever because everyone in their, usually I'd say everyone and their mom, but everyone and their dad wanting to go places now that
True.
restaurants are opened up,
True.
which has been very hit or miss. The last like 2 weeks, ever since it like opened back to 100%, I feel like from what I'm talking, like when I like talk with people I work with, it's like it's either it's dead or everyone's like running around with their hair on fire. And for the most part, it's been, at least when I've been there, it's been running around with their hair on fire because people have apparently forgotten that the pandemic was a thing and that a lot of people aren't working. So they're back to bitching about everything at a restaurant instead of being somewhat understanding.
I think a year of no human contact has.
Yeah, I think that's probably also helped too. That's probably that probably hasn't helped at all. But so restaurants are kind of getting back to normal in that sense. I did have a lady freak out at me the other day over the fact that I didn't put a fork on her on her basket. So
Well, you're just like the worst person
I'm surprised I haven't been fired
in Southern California.
So, but other than that, the week kind of seemed to fly by. I know that like we always have like weeks where it seems like the weeks are 12 days long, and then there's weeks where you can't remember how you got from Monday to Friday, and it's leaning more towards the can't remember how you got to Monday to Friday week than the long one, which I do appreciate because I feel like having like time drag on isn't necessarily the best feeling ever, but at the same time, it'd be nice to actually be able to like enjoy days and not feel like it's just like split second and the rest of the week's over.
Yeah, you blink, day's over.
Yeah. Baseball has thankfully the baseball season is in full swing, so getting to at least have baseball in my life has been super nice. We're getting a week closer to the NFL season, which I know we are excited about.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty excited about because college football is going to come back. I know you guys aren't the biggest of college football fans, but I'll still get to, at least that's been one of the things I get to watch with my dad or I've been able to talk to my dad about because he loves watching the games. So even if I don't catch them, I'll at least read highlights.
He's UCLA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's UCLA, and my mom's family is Ohio State. So at least we have one winning team in the house. But he just enjoys watching the big games, like the SEC games, like Alabama's and all them online. So even if I don't if I'll just see a score, I'll just usually mention the score or something that happened, and then I'll let him go for 3-4 minutes and rant about it for the day. That's my recap for football usually. If I can't watch the games, is just letting him rant about who played like crap and whatnot. So,
does he have a favorite player to rant, or is it just
no? I think he just usually likes to watch whatever the highlight.
They usually
games.
leave every 4 years. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
They don't re-sign after 4 years usually. I don't think that schools want them either.
A lot of people go to college for 8 years or 7 years.
Yeah, they're called doctors.
It's one of my favorite lines from that movie.
Yeah, yeah.
That I also didn't understand that line until I was probably in late teen years.
And then you went to college for 7 years.
Yeah, then quite literally, I went to and then I'm still not a doctor, so.
This is bullshit.
I do call bullshit on Tommy Boy. They lied. I went above and beyond in how many years I attended college, and I still didn't leave with a PhD.
7, 8, 9.
All in all, 7.5 years. 5.5 to get my bachelor's, and 2 for grad work. So
not bad.
Yeah, I wish the undergrad stuff wouldn't have taken so long, but that's what you get for choosing a degree that is impacted, and then you kind of get missed out on some stuff, and then just pushed everything back. But oh well, I graduated.
Yeah. I didn't graduate, so
I was just happy to get done with it. I don't know. I was just I remember. Well, I mean, we talked last week about, or one of your stories was about being at school and rushing to your finals. Was it a final or was it an exam? I think it was a final exam, right? Because it was 24. We're talking about the library and stuff being open for 24 hours, or the student rec center would be open for 24 hours during finals week, and how you rushed. I think you went from work to your final, or you had 2 hours, took a nap, and then.
Oh yeah, I fell asleep on the ground
out in front of the classroom, right?
Yeah, I fell asleep on the ground. Yeah.
And you had the dirt and all that all on your face.
Yeah. I don't miss.
Yeah, screw that life.
I really think I really don't miss college at all.
Shut my door.
Yeah.
Thanks.
The way it's I just don't it's it's an institution that doesn't, it's very not, it doesn't resemble anything like life.
Yeah.
And so that's how I felt about college. I did college because I was all right, I need a piece of paper to get me into my first job, and then I think the real work starts when you're in your career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's he's a great example of pulling in money and you didn't graduate the degree, and it's you understand business, but you're at the business of hard knocks, which I think is more important, because everything at the end of the day to me is a business. Religion's a business, a dentist's office business, a charity's a business, a school's a business. Everything's a business. No one really the businesses use fear mongering, or they provide some.
The same thing.
Yeah, it's fear mongering completely, and it's not people. And the school system never really truly, I feel like, ever resembles anything like regular life, and never has. And I think it's a fucking joke that they still keep it this way. And there's a lot of progressive schools like that my wife and I look at that we're considering when we have kids, where they don't do testing. There's no testing. It's like a test is a huge waste of time.
Thank you.
Yeah, a test is a test is fucking stupid. It is the stupidest way to prove you're intelligent.
Had there not been tests.
Yeah, because like I honestly am not a great test taker, but I'm one of the best workers I've ever met. You know, and it's like how, and everything that I've earned and everything you've earned isn't because you get tested. It's you got test. I guess you can call it getting tested, but it's like at the end of the day, it's just showing up and doing what you need to do. You know,
Yep.
and so that's kind of how I feel about. I just feel like that's like that a lot.
Did you guys ever have the honors program called Heritage at your school growing up?
We had stuff like that, yeah.
So Heritage was kind of like that honors course that you take in high school all 4 years, and you build up credits for college,
Like
right?
AP, like an AP,
exactly.
Yeah.
But so my freshman year going to college or going to high school, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do Heritage because like that's what Goichi does. Like, you know, he does all like the hard stuff and gets prepped, and he has a plan. He has a plan A, plan B, and even a plan C. And I'll never forget, I got the summer project for this Heritage program, and it was like Greek mythology. And they wanted you to read a book and not only write a report. And I'm telling you, like the report they wanted us to write was like pages long. And then like it was a minimum requirement. And then on top of that, they wanted you to do like model displays or PowerPoint displays. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, I'm not doing this. Like, screw, like, my
not you,
break.
Oedipus Rex. Or whatever, the guy that slept with his mom.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that weird story?
Yeah.
I always feel like when they put stories like that on our tables, I'm like, did anyone proofread this one? And it's like, why do we still want to read about incest? Is there something that we're trying to imply here?
So anyway, I ended up dropping out of that. Hey, aloha cupcakes.
What's up, aloha?
I was about to whisper at her, or at him or her.
I'm glad you didn't.
But anyways, I dropped out of that, and I ended up joining a Marketing and Business Academy class. It's called MBA, and it was a class where like all your normal classes like history, English, and like whatever extra curriculum there is, that was our business class. But then the history, English, and I think that was mainly it. History and English, they were part of the MBA program. So you were consistently, like throughout these 4 years, if everyone stayed in that program, you were growing with all these kids every year together. So that was the cool thing. Is like I built these relationships and friendships with like people throughout high school that had like the same aspirations, mindset, and goals. Some people just wanted to be part of that program just because, but I thought it was so cool, and I just wish more schools would do stuff like that, like teach you about business, aspects and like, what investing is, how to create a business plan, because that's what they showed us. There was even a day where like our teacher sat us down and we all had to pass the test, just like from his perspective, but of course he's going to pass everyone eventually, but we had to do a business handshake and make eye contact and introduce ourselves. And I'll never forget that. Like it probably took me a couple tries, I think at least 2 or 3, to get it perfectly right, but it taught me so much. Like,
Just like,
oh,
I was about to grab your wiener. I was about to grab your wiener.
Yeah.
Is this how we do it?
Yeah.
Oedipus Rex taught me this.
But yeah,
We're in business.
It was definitely a cool course. So I just wish schools would focus more on that.
OnlyFans.
So
Yeah.
hey, apparently OnlyFans is trying to steer away from pornography. So they're trying to be more friendly mainstream.
Yeah.
Well, they were supposed to be. It was supposed to be like an art site where like
that's
people,
art.
Yeah.
It's the kind of art I like.
But like like people would post their art and like
Yeah,
drawings
their
and
art.
stuff, and then it just sort of
But they're naked.
as the pandemic hit, it just was flooded with.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I think it went away from that big time.
There's a Black Mirror episode about all this, you know?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, like about how
that's
we're all just kind of going, like all women are like,
There's
a
no
lot of women
standard
are,
anymore, like-
you're being incentivized to like want to do stuff like that and give up your soul or give up
Yeah.
your integrity, you know? It's so
I think
sad.
it is, because like for
It's
men
sad.
or women, it doesn't matter, right? Like if you expose yourself, like it's hard for me, I guess, to think this way too, because like at the same time we could all just be cavemen and like not wear any clothes, like that could be a norm.
Yeah.
But I mean, we all like it's worldwide, right? Like you expose yourself, like you do somewhat like lose like that self-respect and like identity of like no one's going to be curious anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like
You've already buried it all. Literally.
Yeah.
The secrets are gone. You know? Yeah.
But like the other thing too, you got to think as like a dad, you know, and
Yeah.
like or a mother and your son doing that or your daughter doing that, and it's like the one thing I'll never forget is I told my brother and I told my sister as she was growing up, we said anything you put online is no longer yours. It's gone forever. So just make sure whatever you put online you're proud of, or at least it's not something that can come back to you and hurt you later. I mean, look at all these people, these famous people getting tagged for stuff they said years ago because people are so touchy on stuff, you know? And it's like, can't we just move forward and evolve, like, versus, like, you know, hold ourselves back and, like, focus on the petty shit?
You know, that's not
Yeah.
the same person I am now. Like, like Jesus.
But you said it.
But you said the words in that order.
It's so bad, man. And the other thing I think, too, is, like, the people who are getting like attacked for that, like, dude, stand up for yourself. Don't conform and be like, I apologize. Like, that's not who I am anymore. It's like, just fucking be you. You know, like, fuck these people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I think it's so disgusting how people have nothing else better to do with their lives but attack other people and like go back centuries, you know, to focus on something native they may have said.
Decades old.
Yeah,
Shit.
like get a fucking life, you loser.
I think it's hard because it's so trippy because I was watching this. There's it's called The Middle Ground,
Mm-hmm.
and have you guys ever heard of that? The Middle Ground. It's
No.
on YouTube. It's
this
by
a show?
Jubilee. Yeah, it's by a group called Jubilee,
Mm-hmm.
and they're based in LA, and it's really great. And I think especially in today's age where things feel so separated,
Mm-hmm.
feels so separated where you're seeing, you know, such a huge division, but the division shifting left and right, further and further, where people don't even want to stay in a room, or they can't even tolerate the other the other side. And so this group did one on. I brought it up. I think as a group, personally, I brought it up to you guys. But there was one on organized religion versus Satanism,
Mm-hmm.
and I really was interested. I love these because they're fun to listen to. Seldomly do they depict one. Seldomly do you see where there's bias. I feel like if there's anything that they do, the Jubilee does is they keep a neutral ground.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't depict one side as like, you know, this side's like the best way to be, or, you know, organized religion. You believe in God, you're an idiot. No, they don't do that. Like, it's like this is what the person believes, and they try to give it to a very, very fair, non-biased look. So one of the Satanists said, like, it had to do, and you guys can find this, can be found on YouTube. It's a really good segment. But the girl says, like, it has to do with like right and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
There's a question about right and wrong, and I don't remember everything, but essentially the summary was from her response was that we're not really, how do I really know what's right and wrong? Because what is right and wrong now may not be what is right and wrong in 100 years
Mm-hmm.
and 200 years ago, and it's like it's constantly changing. I mean, if you go,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, and then it's also where you're from. You know, where you're from is a big part of it, but also time. Time is like, so time
True.
is, and so it just makes you wonder, like, yeah, so it's so funny. Like, we're in a moment where, you know, there's right and wrong, and we feel the right and wrong, and I think a lot of the times it's kind of sad. The things that we, as far as a group, probably got taught as values or principles are not the highlights of this society anymore.
Yeah.
And we're starting to really feel that as, and we have to, you know, and that's why I like this group. Is we embody the principle, and that's kind of honestly what I believe in with Junto, is that, like, we can be, you know, like, for people that are there, you know, for women that are like, man, I need to work on my mind, and I don't want to do OnlyFans, and I want to keep it special and find somebody.
Yeah.
This could be that place where they listen to some of our stuff and they're like, I'm not the only people out there that really feel and care about.
Yeah,
you
like,
know,
if you're
what
not
I'm
sure if you're
thinking.
better than that, and
Yeah,
it's like you
and
are.
you just want to give into it. You
Yeah.
know, it's like,
Yeah.
and it's so easy. I mean, I wanted to do an OnlyFans so bad, and no, I'm just kidding.
Can you say that with a straight face?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife's like, what the hell? All right, baby. Anyway, so
Art.
Just like it's Walter and I.
yeah, so that's another thing that I think it's gonna. I know I always like. I just think it's gonna get to even like that one day where,
An OnlyFans for your dog.
or yeah, implying like bestiality and stuff like that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm not saying only OnlyFans. I'm not putting them together.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, society may see things that is right. I mean, it's so interesting. Like, you look at different states and countries, see bestiality is totally fine, but, you know, it's just interesting.
We are not one of
Totally
them.
fine.
Dude,
It's
which
illegal.
ones?
As in legal.
Oh,
Yeah,
like,
as in
yeah.
legal.
what if OnlyFans just decided to start like a huge amount of sister companies off of Only, and it's like OnlyFans, Only Friends, Only Parents, and it's like all these different subjects.
It's
like,
good. That's good.
It's all kink.
Yeah.
It's all kink related.
Yeah.
Only parents just
Only
rope.
Oedipus Rex. And just a bunch of
Yeah,
incest.
the incest podcast.
Where's Oedipus Rex from?
It's the what's that big book? It's like
the
the
Odyssey.
dictionary?
no, not the
Homer?
dictionary. Yeah, it's Homer and Odyssey.
Yeah.
The Odyssey.
Wait, like the serious book? The Odyssey?
The serious?
Yeah,
book?
isn't that book?
No, the
isn't it
fun,
like
the crayon book.
Yeah.
did you stay in between the lines?
Or you can draw on
Wait,
if you want.
The book that we probably all had to read like in English class, like growing
Yeah,
up. or
I remember
something,
not.
or-
That
or
was a Spark
they
book.
gave it. They gave
that was
it
a
to me. I
Spark
didn't-
Notes book for me because I was just like, I'm not reading that
I'll
thing.
be 100%
Like, yeah.
honest.
It was hard to read.
All the books that we had to get in high school, like the books that I can remember off
Cliff
the top
Notes,
of my
Spark
head.
Note guy. Big
Yeah,
Spark Note guy.
if I remembered, I was like, or if I like went into it, I was like, oh, I'll just like read that, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, it's 75 pages and it's due in an hour. I'm like, and I have an essay to write on it. I was like, I should probably write that essay first. and then
That's
I'll
when
worry
you go to
about
the
it.
nurse's office
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you're
so
like,
that's also
My
I have
tummy
typhoid-
hurts.
I have typhoid fever,
Yeah.
so
you stab yourself in the leg. And just like fuck this.
no, but, like
Goodbye.
all those books in high school, like the ones that I can remember off the top
You
of my
shit
head.
yourself.
They
Like,
would
you're
have
just
seen
like,
through that. That's a weekly occurrence. They would have seen right
It would
through that one.
Wait, is it worth it though? Like, let's say you had like in college, I could feel there are certain college tests where if like I didn't study and I was like I needed just you know what I mean? If you were you're just gambling and you're just like, all right, I'm gonna shit my pants. What are scenarios that you'd be willing where you're like, I shitting your pants is gonna outweigh?
I don't want to oust you here, but I could have sworn that you told me a story about you had like a final.
Yeah.
Where like
yeah.
you literally just like did that and like turned it in and like ran out
Yeah.
the door without.
So that was
saying
like, yeah,
anything.
I didn't shit myself because I was like, well, no, I told the teacher I
Would
filled
it have
out
been worth
most-
it, though?
No, I didn't. Hold on, I didn't fill out. I ran up to the teacher and I said, I'm either gonna shit myself, or because he said you can't leave, like which I'm really against.
Yeah. Which, by the way,
Yeah.
if I was the professor if one of my kids would have said that, I would have laughed my ass off, like sitting on my table.
It wasn't. No, this guy had the look of serious, like, yeah, because you saw the sweat from my brow. Like this guy.
I thought you were
knew
saying you saw like
the
your
panic in your eyes.
Yeah, like I already know it wasn't just about getting out of that door. It's knowing that it's not even that close of a run.
That's the worst.
Yeah, and you're just like, I'm praying to God that I have to run through people
And
to
a
get
flight of
there.
stairs.
You're like, I'd fart in your face to prove it, but we're at the point of no return.
Yeah, there's no farts left. It is.
So that
right there.
that happened at 7-Eleven too. The 7-Eleven that's off of Flower. It's in Santa Ana off of Flower and Fourth, or Flower and not Fourth. It's Flower, and it's right before the courthouse. It's
Yeah.
like before the courthouse.
I know.
17. So I was like, I was doing jury duty, and I was about to go to jury duty, and it just like hit me. And it doesn't happen as much. It doesn't happen anymore actually, really, because I've been taking like probiotics and stuff, and that's really helped. But just for anyone at home, you have uncontrollable diarrhea at times. Probiotics have
We're
changed
going
your life.
back to our roots. With
We're
poop
experts
talk.
in that.
Yeah. So that
Oh, God.
little wisdom of the day for you. So I was sitting there, and it was one of like I remember thinking, if I crap myself, I'm gonna miss this entry into the jury duty. So I was like, I could try to get there, but everyone knows that goes to that jury duty there. It's a long line usually, and they like scan you and stuff. So I was like, that's not good. So I saw the 7-Eleven, and anyone that's ever been to a 7, if you notice, there's not really an available bathroom.
There's not.
They don't. So I like come up to the guy and I'm sweating. I was like really sweating because it was like a roller coaster, like where, oh my God, I got to go really bad. Then it would stop and I'd be like, oh my God, all right, maybe I can get there. And then it's like, no. I mean, no,
That's
I'm gonna
the
go.
worst.
Yeah, and you're just
Body
doing
tricks
it.
you.
Yeah, and he keeps doing this. And I call it a roller coaster in my head because it feels like a roller coaster. You're like, you just feel like when you get down from that roller coaster and you're like, all right.
That wasn't so bad.
Yeah, you're like, I could deal
We'll
with
ride
this.
this one out,
Yeah,
guys.
but then you start driving again, and you're like, your body's like, no, and it starts
Yeah.
going back, and you're just like, no, God.
I think the only way that works is if like you're sitting down, maybe.
You thought you were out of the woods.
Yeah, if you're standing up, it's like way worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Oh, yeah,
really-
you can only-
walking around.
Yeah.
You can only
so
clench
bad.
so hard standing
Yeah.
up.
yeah, it's
I've
like there's
experienced this.
where you're like going like this, and you're trying to like get a motion. You're trying to get a motion where like a spot where you're like, all right, I'm good. Like I've done that where
Like
I'm
stiff
literally
as a
just
board.
holding. Yeah, because so I go up into the 7-Eleven and I say to the guy, I'm like, where's your bathroom? He's like, it's not for customers. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm going to shit myself right now. And I was like, it's either you're gonna have to clean this up with me, or like you let me to use this. And I was like, I'll even buy something. I'll buy something. Just let me, please, God, I'm begging you. And the guy like someone that's like so serious.
Dude, how could you not allow
He
them?
didn't even like think about it. He walked over and like opened the door for me and like
God, what a
yeah,
man.
the guy
You
is.
got a mop and bucket
talking
ready
about-
for you
yeah.
as well.
You're bleeding,
Good
dude.
good Samaritan. We're talking about Samaritans in your story. Like
Yeah.
that was a good. That guy. Because that guy could have been a dick and just been like no, and just watched me just like
do it.
watched me like just like it.
Just go,
the
man.
hope totally died from my eyes.
You have like the worst luck because you've done even roulette with me when we did that charity walk in LA. Do you remember that?
I did, yeah.
And then you
yeah.
had to use the restroom.
Oh, Vaughn's.
Well, we
yeah,
made a
Vaughn's,
couple more stops
yeah.
before that.
My
and
stomach
nothing
was bad.
open.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, we stopped at gas stations.
Yeah,
I
I
think
had-
at least one or two.
And I forgot
both
my
were closed.
shoes, and I had to wear. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
I had to wear like my business shoes, and people were like, "What the fuck? It's 6 a.m. This guy's on like literally sweats and business shoes." But it's LA, so that's probably a normal day to day for them at that Vaughn's.
Why haven't you written a book yet?
I know, like, that's on my
I think that's
Kramer.
gonna be the first Junto book. Is
Seriously.
The stories.
And
Yeah.
the perfect
Yeah.
picture is
Places
like
we've
you
almost
trying
shit
to,
ourselves.
Like, hold it in and run into the business. Because I'll never forget the picture when he was running into the Vons or Rouse, whatever it was. Like he was like wobbling. You could see the struggle of like, please Scott, they gotta let me in the bathroom at this time of night or morning.
I know that.
God, it was so funny because it was horrible. Because like we stopped at places thinking that they'd be open for the restroom, and I swear we went like 2 or 3 places. None of them would were open for the restroom. So.
Dude,
Yeah,
it was
clutch though. You made it just in time.
I want to say the ones are. Well, I've had stories where I've had to shit my pants. Like I just couldn't do it anymore. And like man, I'm just trying to think. Are there any less moments of your life where you're like, man, because you believe in yourself so much. You know what I mean? You have so much faith in getting to that toilet, and nothing lets you down more than like when it finally goes in your shorts.
Your own butthole.
And, you're and it's all this warm feeling, and it's kind of you know what's kind of horrible is the warm feeling's not that bad for like the first 5 seconds. Like it's like
the acceptance.
yeah, the except like it
I'm
kind of gets
finally- I
warm,
get-
and you're just like
I'm-
that's not that bad, and then it starts to stink, and you're like this is the worst thing I've ever done, and then you know those pants and shorts are
She's losing
ruined. But that warmness, like it's almost like if it's like a cold
Like
day.
comforting?
Yeah, it's like if
I
it's
don't
a
know
super-
about you.
Let's
All
say it's
I'm
like
picturing is like that warmness, and then it's like seeping down to your leg.
yeah.
It's
Well,
not
if you're
bad.
sitting down, like what I like hold my shorts like this and like squeeze airtight that thing in. But like imagine if it's like 20 degrees and it's like a really cold day and you're just like and then
Create
it's just,
that bullet
yeah,
chili
it's
in your
just
pants.
warm. It's just super warm inside there.
Dude, what if you had like a switch for your underwear where it just vacuums everything tight,
Dude, that would-
so nothing leaks, and you're like, I'm gonna shim my pants right
I
now.
honestly don't know why stuff like that doesn't exist. You know,
The idiocracy chair.
I think the stuff like that should be sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Like being able to push a button when you're at your. If you live a home alone, it's people that live home alone. Like if you're or you don't live with anyone, you just push a button and the couch slides open and you just poop.
Have you seen Idiocracy?
The convenience of that is.
So is
No.
this our first
Oh,
patent that we're gonna
man.
make?
I think honestly, I'm surprised it hasn't been attempted
Yeah.
because in a man cave, I think it's awesome.
I think people
It-
just built
even
that
right
for
here-
the
You
man
would definitely
cave.
need a
Right
man
here,
cave. Yeah. Let me.
like
yeah.
while you're streaming and you're like, oh, and you're just like, and then you're like, button.
like Cartman and that World of
Yeah,
Warcraft
yeah.
is.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Bathroom.
Yeah, just have a bedpan.
Yeah, you don't have an
Yeah.
opening on that though.
But see,
Yeah.
that's more for like just convenience, not like emergency cases. Like, I think I do enjoy the privacy of going to the restroom.
Yeah, that's why I said if it's if you're one person.
Oh, home
If
alone,
you're if you're like married, then no, that's not gonna work.
man.
Your kids are sitting there and you're like,
trying to
that's
think
just
if
Well,
you're having-
only you two
What if
would
you're
actually
having
know.
guests
so-
I'm trying to think if that's a life you like. You glorify, or is that sad?
I think they probably
Yes.
trust people enough to be like make it to the restroom, so they're like,
It's
we don't
both.
need to come up with the shit chair 2000 because people can just stand up and walk right over to the toilet and use it.
I think you know what's interesting
They
is
overestimate us.
like we were just talking about OnlyFans, right? Like how like certain things are back in society. You're like, oh, this is kind of not immoral, but like you wish like people like used more principle, right?
Yeah.
But there's things that people won't cross lines on, and like pooping is still one of them. Like for example, that what I just brought up, that would be like even to people that would like, they would literally go pimp themselves out on the street. They still would look at me and be like, "You're disgusting,
Yeah.
disgusting for thinking
That's
that."
inappropriate.
Yeah, see, like,
And you're like,
yeah, you're just like,
you just got
Double
paid to
standard.
do something.
yeah, it's like,
sexual for a guy. It's
and
like
it's
who's-
just it's funny. Like, why is there so much judgment on this? Because it's like, I think, but it's funny like how pooping needs a different room, you know?
Because
It smells.
No, I get that, but like you could, but if you think about modern technology, there could be buttons where it sucks in the air and gets rid of the smell in a second, right?
That's true.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I'm just saying, like we see it in the constructs of a home that are seeing now,
Mhm.
but like but what I guess my kind of like point of it is if like
Just live on a
OnlyFans.
houseboat, and then you could just shit out
Yeah, I
the
mean,
window.
There you go. Just
All right,
drops
when
on
you
it.
buy your house, you better walk the walk and have a.
Yeah,
Well-
tear down those walls.
I just remember this conversation. Like in 30 years, if it starts to happen, where
I've
it's
been saying it just as long as you have.
but let's say it shifts over. You guys will be like 80 years old and have kids. Our kids running around, and I'll be like, "Hey, you guys want to come over?" And you guys are all coming over, and then we all sit down, and we all push buttons at the same time and
Shit as a
poop,
family.
Yeah.
hold hands.
Group
No,
shitting.
that's not the future. The future would be if
I'll make sure there's Charmin.
there's somehow they can recycle our poop and turn it into something good, like energy or something like that, you know?
That would be interesting.
Yeah, that's-
a shit reactor.
Then you're motivated to shit.
Yeah. Just don't burn it. Just don't burn it.
My stomach's hurt a lot from not shitting, so I'm pretty motivated to get rid of that.
Anyone that's constipated gets made fun of because they're not contributing to the energy crisis.
You never get fed any candy. It's all like X-Lax chocolate. One of my friends got in trouble for feeding that to a girl, like tricking her.
Oh.
He did not like her in elementary school, and he didn't get expelled, but he got suspended.
He's lucky.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that-
because
Yeah,
that's
real
like
lucky.
Nowadays,
today. Yeah,
that's
today
like
that'd
a-
be
Oh,
He'll be in
drugging-
big trouble.
drugging
Yeah.
a girl.
Dude, she ate the whole bar, I
Right.
guess. I didn't take. It was on the school bus, but he gave it to her,
Jeez.
and she ate the whole thing, dude. And it was bad. It was real bad. So
Yikes.
yeah, it's probably something he definitely regrets doing as a kid. We all do dumb shit.
I
when
bet
we're
she
kids.
regrets it too.
Oh, she did.
She probably didn't take candy from somebody for a long time.
I don't even think she went to school. She went straight back home after that. So yeah,
Oh, yeah.
X-Lax is a real thing.
Changing.
Anytime-
I'm changing schools. I am.
Yeah,
I always
changing
think
my
about
name.
Three Ninjas every time I think about X-Lax.
Every time I think about laxatives, I think about Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, that's another one. Yeah.
I've lived that way. I've lived that all too closely. I don't even know how many years ago it was, but Beef and I went hiking at Mammoth, and we pulled a all day deal. Like I think I picked him up at like 4:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
We drove up there. We got sandwiches from Shots Bakery in Mammoth, and then
Oh
we went
my
hiking,
God.
and we just kept walking. And then we're like, oh, we're gonna go to the next bus stop, and we got there, and they're like, oh, it's like a 2-hour long line to hit the tram, and we're like, okay, we'll walk to the next one, and then I think we went to like Rainbow Falls was our plan, which we did, and then we're like, well, we'll just walk to the very last one, because like surely there can't be a lot of people at that one if there's a crap ton of people at the other ones. We were wrong. It was lower. It was a shorter line, but anyway, we got back into like where we had parked at the resort or wherever it was outside where like the bus comes in, and I forgot what we did for food or something like that. I think we went and got like a burger at this place in there, and then we went to Mammoth Brewing Company.
It is.
and we
Yeah,
got
that's
beers
exactly where
there,
we went.
and that was awesome.
Mhm.
But then we drove on the way back, and then he was driving on the last bit. I think he might have driven all the way home, and I was like,
No.
or most of it at
Yeah,
least.
the
then you're-
nighttime. The nighttime is for sure you.
Yeah, the next, and then so we're going through like Rancho, or I had this feeling that I had to crap, like in
Oh, that's right.
probably like in Victorville, and I'm like, it's like an hour and a half tops to get home. I've
Yeah.
got this. So he's
That's
driving.
the worst thought I've ever heard. Like, why would I?
Yeah.
God,
I'm like I can clench so hard that I'm like, it's
That's
totally
just
fine.
I don't even.
Victorville's way too long, man.
That's far.
My
I
seat
remember. Yeah.
reclined back, and I was flopping around in the passenger seat like a dead, or not like a dead fish because
Yeah.
they don't flop, like a fish out of water, just fucking screaming like agony pain, like half the time when I got like the urge that I had to poop. And he's just like, "Do you want me to stop at the McDonald's? No, just get me the fuck home.
Oh
do you want me,
my
do you want me to
God.
stop
Right?
here?"
Yeah.
And well, I think it was probably like around like 11 o'clock at night or something like that.
There would have been
Which they
places
would have been
open.
open.
Yeah,
and I was like,
there's
"No, it's fine.
places.
I can deal with it."
Dude.
And then like that
the
roller
fact
coaster.
that you're in pain.
I'd be like, I'd get down and be like, that wasn't that bad. That didn't even last for that long. And then all of a sudden it's like, we're in Corona. Then we're passing through like Anaheim, Hillsboro, Belinda. And then I'm like, holy fuck, did they make this freeway longer? Like on the way home?
You're just seeing the exits.
Yeah,
pass.
like I'm like, did 5 miles just add to the nearest exit? Because I'm like, I'm pretty sure it was a mile away.
Oh,
So we
man.
finally get off, and we're on the city streets and stuff, and I'm just like, I'm like, drive as fast as you fucking want. I'm like, go, go, go. I'm like, run a red light for all you care. I'm like, I don't
I went
care.
45.
Yeah, he's like 10 and 2.
I'm not insured.
And, like, turning the wheel.
I'm not insured here.
He's like turning the wheel, and he's like, it's like we got grandma on the back seat.
He's
here.
texting while driving like
Yeah.
this. Don't pull me over,
He's
officer.
not even touching the gas pedal. He's just letting the car coast all the way through, like all the way down the street. So we pull up to our house. We pull up to my house because I'm like that, or like my parents' house and stuff was closer, and I was like, I've got shit so bad. I went to the closest restroom. I literally opened the garage. I like tried to crawl under the door as much as possible so I didn't have to bend, and I flew through the door. And I just like hit everybody's clean clothes down in the laundry room, and like went to the back bathroom, and I like sat down, and before when my hips just like broke, and like started to bend, I'm pretty sure I like shit hit the toilet literally,
God.
and I felt like Dumb and Dumber because I was just there and I was like, oh my god, like this is the biggest release and like the most relief I've ever had in my life.
I hope we get sponsored one
Yeah,
day by
yeah.
Toto or like some
Dude
bidet
wipes.
company.
I just
Yeah.
wanted
Dude wipes.
to shout out to Aloha Cupcakes for staying with us throughout this whole conversation.
You're a champion.
Yeah, I would have left already with my words, and it's amazing. We went through the gauntlet of poop stories here, or the round robin, I should say.
We have actual topics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's.
Which we can get.
Oh, I realized I have the topic for Junto, so I can read it.
Oh yeah.
Go for it.
All right, so I got what unhappy effects of. So I'm just gonna do, because this is a huge one. Like there's so many question marks
Like a
in
long
it.
question.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make it like really simple, so we don't like spend a lot. It's like, because to even answer each one of these would take a while and a while to think about too.
Mm.
What unhappy effects? And I've reworded it too. What unhappy effects of a lack of restraint have you lately observed or heard? So how I infer that is, so it's what unhappy effects of a lack of restraint have you lately observed or heard? So where in life have you seen someone not, they're lacking restraints of, biting their tongue and then that could apply to yourself, or it could, be observations. So I'm gonna go with it. I'm not gonna take yours because I already probably know who yours
Yeah.
is. So I'm not gonna because based on what we've talked about. But I'm gonna go by myself because it's pretty much how I live my life is most of this. So like I don't have a lot of restraint on how I carry a lot of what I do. And I think the question is kind of funny in its own because I don't believe in restraint. If you fully believe in what you're doing, you're organized, and you're confident in what you're doing, and I can see how restraint in certain things could be ineffective, like if it hurts you, or it like it's not helping you move forward or in anything. But for me, so I'm very full throttle, as you guys know. It's been the way I do things. It's the way I will be the rest of my life. I try to chill out, but even when I go full throttle with chilling, I go full throttle. Like I will relax. Like I relax hard. I sleep hard. I do everything really hard. I know it sounds like a joke, but like that's just the way I am. So how is that me? How have been there negative things? So I would say when I let the intensity of my anger take a hold of me, that's something that all three of you observed, and I think like for me, that has when you lack that restraint at saying spiteful things or saying things that you can't come back from, it lives with you the rest of your life. And so I know everybody said something that they wish they never said in their life, but with me, my anger becomes so it manifests so much at times where that's just a go-to. I always and that's because the way I think of myself, I always am like, that's how I observe myself. So I think that's an unhappy effect. And it's something that I've known for a while now. And like, just as a person, it's more about trying to take it a different approach. A lot of the times I think, and taking the approach of understanding oneself. I recently actually posted this, and I got recognized at work today for it. But I want to read what I said because it came from the heart, and I've been doing this the last month. Instead of getting super super angry, or like lashing out or enraging, I try to repurpose this. So this is how I've responded to this. The lack of restraint from anger. Let me see if I can find it. It was here. So this is something that a lot of times when you read, like when you're reading, most CEOs, most billionaires, most people that are successful motivational will tell you write your goals down and you look at them every single day of your life. It's true. It's
Vision board.
Yeah, it's a vision board. You can use it for Trello for me, putting it on notepad and putting it right in your face. But if you want to do anything in this life, you have to see it every single day. You have to breathe it. It has to breathe in your soul. It has to mean more to you. Like there's that Eric Thomas who talks about the guru, and he says you have to. He's like, if you want something, you have to want it more than breathing, or just as much as breathing, like to want to survive.
Gave me chills when you said that.
Yeah, it's a really really deep moment. So I also think that you can apply that with principles that you stand for as a person. So we talked about how Junto is like what I think what Junto can be for people that are tempted by OnlyFans or tempted by things that might cost them their moral fiber or things that not necessarily Christian or Judaism or any type of religion, but just what they believe in as it's what they stand for. So what I said write down what principles you stand for as an individual. So write them down, like put them next to your goals, right? Because like that's really who you are, right? And I know some people, this is easy. Some people are able to stay in line with their principles all the time. I'm not one of those people. I'm very tempted by anxiety. I'm tempted by impulsion. I'm tempted by a lot of things. I'm tempted by my phone. I'm tempted by so many different things. So I think that doesn't ever change. I think everybody in this room understands what I'm talking about, because you're saying in your head, I really want to do this, but then you never get to doing the things that you want to do or being that person, And for me, that's one of the biggest struggles in my life. And so I said, write down what principles you stand for as an individual, then measure your actions to those principles. So right, like if your actions fall out of that being of a principle, like, so if you have a principle that like you're like, I don't want to get angry, right? Then you measure your actions towards that. Like, all right, well, like I know that's my goal. Like that's my principle. Like my principle is that I don't want to be an angry person, and it's like a goal within yourself. But if you really want to embody that, your actions need to reflect. It doesn't matter if you say anything or whatever you say. It's got to be what you embody, right?
This is how you survive relationships as well.
Yeah, it could help so much. And so the last part of this is, which I think is the most important thing, is most importantly, and this is what the last part, it said, most importantly, when your actions don't reflect your principles you stand for, forgive yourself. I said, I've noticed the more I've forgiven myself, the happier I've become as a person. So like that's the hardest part, is like you set out on these goals, like especially like life-wise, like you set out on these goals and you're not getting them done as fast as you want. You have to forgive yourself and understand that like you'll get there, but you have to take inches and inches and crawl, and you have to crawl, and you have to do everything you can to keep moving. And so for me, like that is how I've handled. So going back to the Junto question, what unhappy effects of a lack of restraint have you lately observed or heard? Mine has been in my life anger, and that's how I feel like I've taken measures, or I'm trying to take measures to handle it more. In doing so, it makes me more mindful of when I'm about to say something mean or not a proper response. So yeah.
That's a really good one.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's very good.
It's and like, we've all known you a long time, and like I've definitely noticed like how hard you work on yourself, and I think we've talked about it in previous podcasts, but working on yourself as hard as someone like you does, like if half of the world did that, like we'd live in such a good world, like
Thanks,
a
man.
better world.
Man, that means a lot. It's easy like to like work on myself on things that like apply to survivalism, It's the things that I'm most in denial.
Even the way you look at women and treat women and the way you respect women, like even without having a relationship, just blind dating, right? Like your loyalty and respect for a relationship or just engagement with another woman is like nothing I've ever seen. I've told you this before. Like that's why I knew like you were special in that way, where like you weren't even willing. Like you were dating, and I wouldn't say like you were like committed to anything. Like even if you dated someone else, I'd be like, oh, you're just dating. You're trying to see what's out there. You're not committed to anything, but you were committed. You know, even if that other party wasn't necessarily committed, you gave it your all.
Yeah.
You know, and I had a lot of respect for that.
Thank
Because
you.
most guys would not be like that. Like, you know, even me internally, like if I was out in the dating world, I don't think I would have that self type of constraint or like outer respect for others to like, you know, be like, well, I'm dating you one time and I need to respect that, you know, and respect you. And I would probably just, you know, date. I did do it in college. Like I would date one girl and then like date another one as like, you know, and see which one I liked best and then commit to that one. But yeah, just your morals, ethics, man, and the way you like hold yourself as far as like, you know, you want to make sure that you're a true person to others. Like, man, that's a unicorn person.
Thanks,
for
man.
sure. So it's not easy to do, man.
I think it's really hard when I fall from that. Like when I was younger, even like a couple years ago, like in times I've gotten mad or upset, it's so easy to like hold the guilt, right? And I think that's like that guilt manifests like as a person. Like I think it's for everybody too, but it can result in any other. The guilt can result in a negative consequence to anyone else. Where some people with guilt, it's a lack of motivation or lack of movement. Some it's like they're afraid of everything. Like they're just so afraid of it, right? And like for me, my guilt, it drives me harder. And then but then it's like certain things in life don't, no matter how hard you drive it, it's not going to result in what you know. You have to actually show, you have to work hard and be what was the word that you have to have full, like what I was saying earlier, you have to be full throttle at being patient. And that's like that in its own is like, you know, is hard in its own, but I think like being patient with yourself is
and loving
much
yourself.
hard.
I think.
It's
Just
really
accepting
hard.
who you are, and then I think once you can get past like, because for me it was, I mean, to some extent I may still have like this internal struggle with myself too, but I've definitely come a long ways where, you know, the insecurities would always come into play, and like I just wasn't self-confident. You know, I just wasn't confident in my work. I knew I was a hard worker, but I didn't think I was ever smart, because everyone always said like I had, you know, challenges in school and stuff, and like you know, people didn't think I would make it because I didn't always get good grades, and like I struggled with tests. I was never the smart kid in class, but I worked my ass off to survive. And yeah, I just think like once you accept yourself and you're like, you know what, I love myself for who I am, after that, like whatever the outside world around you says, dude, it's like you have this impenetrable bulletproof vest now, and like you're like, nothing phases me. Maybe things do phase me to some extent where I reflect on it, right? But like you're not going to stop me from my goals or like where I'm trying to go. You're either with me or you're behind me, and guess what, all the haters, I'll leave behind, and you could talk to my back all day. You know, so I think it's definitely a special thing when you go through something like that. And I'm grateful because I've been through humble experiences, and it sucked, dude. I spent 10 to 12 years in IT, you know, and like hating my life, hating my job, hating who I was turning into. And that was like my turning point. I'll never forget. My turning point was like, one, getting the kidney stone from being too stressed out and eating unhealthy, and sitting in that hospital bed. But the other turning point for me was when I came back from that and I blew up at my friend, John, who was technically my manager at the time, but we were good friends. And I don't know what it was. I think I was just like doing a bunch of things at work, and things were building up, and I was getting aggravated. And he asked me one simple question, and I unleashed it all my anger at him. And it was so bad that I got up. He was in a separate building. I got up and fucking apologized to him that I shouldn't have acted that way. And then right after that, I looked for a new job.
Yeah, you're so good at because you have a good you're really good at doing, when I was saying the whole thing about principles and then not writing them down, but like you're so good at knowing yourself. Like you're really good at that.
I kind of felt like maybe Spider-Man turning into Venom. Like, who am I now? Like, why am I turning into this?
Yeah, and in that moment, it's like that's where I think a lot of people in life they fall from grace in that way, and then so it really sucks. It sucks for people that try to be perfect all the time.
Yeah.
You know, like, because
it's a tough act to keep up with.
Yeah, because then eventually, like, once they fall from grace, they don't forgive themselves, and then they let themselves down, or whoever they were doing it for, and not themselves. It was just a possibility they let down. But the hard part is that no matter what it is, whether it's job or school or life, or
Yeah.
there's something that you're just not that as good at as others. It doesn't come as easy to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the only thing that you can do is just be like, hey, it's okay. I need to move the next step, or put the first step forward. And that's the hardest part, is like when you give into like things like anger, like you said about John, it's like
Mm-hmm.
you'll give into that, and it's very hard to immediately accept what you've done is wrong.
Yeah.
It takes me a while. It takes me like and mine is just being it takes me a while where I'm almost ashamed of what I've done, and then and almost selfish in a way where it's like I'll internalize the anger, or internalize it to myself
Mm-hmm.
and pity myself, and it's like I'm the one who said the fucked up things or the messed up things,
Mm-hmm.
and for you to just get up and apologize shows like that's a lot of respect from me, because that doesn't come easy to me at all. In those moments, I become something else, and then like I want to go isolate, and it's
Yeah.
because I feel rejected, so I want to feel isolated and rejected, and the whole part is that the best thing you can do when you're angry is, and this may not always work, is you stay with that person, and you got to handle it there.
Yeah.
You've got to take care of it right there and there,
Yeah.
and
If
talk
you
it out.
If you truly care, like I cared about our relationship, like our friendship, and like him always being there, and we're still really good friends till this day, because like I cherish that relationship. So it was on me. It was honestly on me to stand up and acknowledge what I've done wrong, So,
Mhm.
and I think the thing you said, like, you're spot on about like the perfection thing. Like, if you're always trying to shoot for perfection, when you fail, you're going to fail. There will be times where you fail so hard you don't even know how to get back to that.
Yeah.
Like even close
Building
to perfection.
blocks, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like you could. I guess like that's the curse and blessing I've always had in my life, is I've sucked at everything.
Yeah.
Like seriously,
Yeah.
I couldn't even write my fucking name on my name tag in like preschool, first grade, and teachers said like I had a learning disorder, and my parents said you can go pound Sam, but I did have like struggle learning in class. Like I didn't have necessarily a disorder, I was just like a kid that never cared to do anything I didn't like, and so school, like there were certain things in school I did not like. I loved art, but it that died out with me because I was like so focused on like I gotta get good grades, I gotta be smart and pass tests. So I did like tutoring after school. My parents would hire separate tutors, and I'd have to read outside of school times. I did the Kumon program for math, and it did help me. It all helped me. But what I'm trying to say is like I failed so many times in my life. I think it came to a point where I'm like I got used to it, not in a bad or good way.
Yeah.
But it's just like this is okay. I can fail
Yeah.
because guess what? I'll still be here tomorrow. But I'll tell you, it took me until my mid-20s to grow up and realize like stop fucking stressing. Like I stressed all my young years over like getting good grades, being a perfect student, making my parents proud, and then going through all the stuff with the fraternity, my parents' divorce, my mom nearly dying. It just made me realize like, dude, this shit don't really matter. You
Yeah,
know,
it
like
doesn't.
when you're looking at like your parents almost dying, shit does not matter. Like all the stuff I stressed about in school, I realized like I stressed out for nothing.
Mhm.
So all I can do now is move forward and just like live a much more positive life and not stress about the small shit. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, living in failure is like, it's so weird because at work, and even with Junto, whatever it is, like
Mm-hmm.
like I live in failure, because in my mind, like I look at failure as like it's like Super Mario. Like I watched this YouTube video. He does the glitter bombs. I think I've talked about it before, but
Yeah.
the glitter bombs. He talks about like he does a TED talk on why it's great. I don't like a lot of TED talks, but I don't watch a lot of TED talks. When I do watch one where I think it's appropriate, is this. It's called school should be taught it should be called the Super Mario syndrome, or the Super Mario approach, where when you fail, you don't like fail and then you're like, I'm gonna turn the game off, right? You're like, you keep going. Now sometimes you'll step away from it, but eventually you come back.
Yeah.
But the whole point behind it is that with video games, we learn to fail and then we attempt to go again.
Yeah.
So, like, it's so funny that like school has taught us the exact opposite, and that's why I think school
True.
sucks. I think school is a fucking joke.
Like
I
you
think it's a
fail,
joke.
you don't move on.
Yeah,
Or,
like,
you
Elon-
stay in failure.
Yeah, one of my favorite things that Elon
Yeah.
Musk says is he's like, a lot of people say a lot of like people he's like, don't confuse education with learning. I have a lot of people that went to Harvard that work for me, so it's just, you know what I mean. He didn't like you can look at all these people that didn't go to prestigious schools, and it just goes to show you that like there's the system itself. You can still do well in the system if you pick a job that is, works out for you. But if you don't ever learn how to fail in that moment, like understand why failure is so special. Like failure is such a special feeling because you realized it's the most honest thing that you'll ever, like, people aren't even that honest when you fail. Like when you fail at something, like even if you fail at a test or like test is one thing, right? It could be subjective, like how English is. There's a lot of that. When you fail, like meaning when you fail to do something or just fail in general, like at like life, like you didn't save enough or you're not
or
doing
even
it.
in sports. I've
sports
put a
is
puck
real.
in my own net as a goalie. Do you know how shitty of a feeling that is?
Yeah, it's like, that's just the truth.
Yeah.
There's nothing more honest than that, and that's
We've
what I
seen
love about
pros do
failure.
that stuff too.
Yeah, true.
And that's honesty is like the only way to, and that's what I was saying is the honesty of the principle. Going back to the principles comment, understanding your principles versus your actions. The only way you'll ever be able to be happy and trust yourself is really to line the actions with those principles, and to be able to do that is this is the gap, and the gap is truth. You can lie to yourself back and forth, which I do at times, but when I'm honest, and I like, I'm not trying to sound like Yoda or anything, but it's like when you're trying to be honest with yourself, you will strap it in here. But if you continue to lie, you're pulling yourself away from what you really want to be.
Yeah.
And then at that point,
Agreed.
You look at yourself one day and you don't even recognize yourself anymore. You just
So,
you're someone you're not anymore.
That whole gap experience that you were talking about, the one thing holding me back was excuses and fear.
Yeah.
I always
fear-
made excuses
fear is
for
another one.
my shortcomings or failures or whatever, or I played the victim role, right? And then I always had a fear of like not having a steady job. And I don't even know why I cared about that, because like I was always usually supported by my parents, but at one point I did have to live out on my own. But it wasn't like crazy expensive. It was affordable at the time. So like for me, I don't know why I was always scared to lose that job. Like I guess I just thought I wasn't good enough to get a job anywhere else. And it took me forever to figure that out. Like I'm worth more. It took a ton of people telling me that, like, what are you doing here? Like you could go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. It's like I realized I didn't know my own value, because the company I was at knew my value and they wanted to keep me down, and they didn't want me to unleash that like beast within me. Yeah. And so I'll never forget when one of my buddies told me, he's my buddy till this day now. He told me at work when I was training him, he asked me how much I got paid, and I told him, and he just started laughing. He's like, "What are you fucking doing here?" He's like, "It's a joke that you get paid that much for everything you do and everything you know." And he's like, "I promise you, you get out of here and find another job anywhere else, and they understand your value, they will pay you more." And he was fucking right. And ever since I've listened to that saying and like understanding my value, trusting the process, working my ass off, everything's like just been positive for me in my life. Like yes, I've had a lot of like tests come my way in these past 3 years, but I'm just trucking along and just trying to persevere through that, like life is what it throws you, It could be shitty, it could be great, but at the end of the day, I can still determine my destiny, I have some control of that. Yeah. So that's
those shitty companies that like that keep you down instead of trying to prop you up. Yeah. That's so bad. Like especially when they see the potential. Yeah. And they're like, "Oh, it's like I always go to sports, but like when a team like has a really good young player that they drafted, they're like, "Ooh, we've got this really good player. We don't have to update his contract for 2 years, so we have him cheap." It's just like, damn.
Yeah, I don't think value and payment are the same thing though. Yeah. What I think, like how I took it, what he was talking about, is more of like your value is what you think it is. It's that simple, right? True, it is what you think you're worth. If you believe that you're worth $1 million a year, go get it. Right?
True.
If you're not worth $1 million a year. You set your own bar, and that also what G was bringing up was environment. Like it's like a small pond versus a large pond, or a different pond. Understanding your environment is the environment where you cannot grow, or you will not be able to be seen to allow your value to grow.
But the way I interpreted it was that his company was manipulating him to make him think that he was not worth.
I get what you're saying in that aspect, yeah.
Yeah, but at the end though, like his whole bringing up that story was more about him leaving and making that value association.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not necessarily focusing on the negativity, because anywhere you go, to be honest, if G went to McDonald's right now and applied, they'd pay him $15 an hour, right, or whatever they're paying. So it's not necessarily, it is not about the toxicity of a business, because the business is only going to do what it does to survive. It's not ill will. A business will try to survive.
True.
Yeah, it's like
That's
it's
a good
doing
point.
what it's take to survive. Now, people might see it as like, oh, this person's really not getting respected and all these things. And there might be managers like you've brought up that are horrible,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, it's just business.
I have something
yeah.
great to add to that.
Yeah,
because
go for it.
You made a great point where it gave me like a light bulb, kind of, where there was a tradition, like with all the old school guys, where we were young, coming up, trying to learn technology, but anyone who would quit, we'd have a celebration at the ranch and like do a big steak dinner and
That's
treat
like
that
a lot.
person.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It's moolah.
Well, there would be like over a dozen of us, because we bring our wives or significant others, whatever, and we have a big dinner together and celebrate people like moving on and trying to grow outside.
That's why like John likes it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that?
So,
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we did that, but what I'll say, what kind of resonated with what Beef was saying was, there's two different like perspectives and spectrums here. Where, like, I left, but I left because I finally understood my value, right? But then I knew, at the end of the day, like, as much as I may have hated that company, I was so grateful. And it was like, I'm still grateful till this day. Like, I'm grateful for all the struggles, all the bullshit, all the tears, the blood, the sweat, everything I went through, I'm grateful for.
Mhm.
You know, but then in another spectrum, you could look at someone who technically didn't grow from leaving there, right? Because they still held that, like, negative thought of, like, I just fucking hate that company. And didn't focus on, like, how did that, even though you went through all that negative shit, how
Yeah.
did that help you grow as a
Exactly.
person?
Yeah.
And be who you are today. And some of the people that have left there or are still there are still stuck in that, like,
Yeah.
you know what I said when I left the company? I told my friends, I said, I'm getting rid of this virus and this fucking cancer. I said, it may not seem to you guys like it's a cancer, but to me, when like my brain's not right, my feelings aren't right, my relationships aren't right, there's something fucking wrong in my life. And it starts with, what do I do most of my time? Because that, I literally told a doctor what I do day to day, and it all came down to work, of how much I hated my life. And it all entailed back to work. So I just realized, like, I had to make that change. It wasn't on the owners. As much as I was holding animosity to the owners, I finally realized, like, it wasn't their fault. It was mine.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yes, they did hold me down and make me, like, seem like I didn't have any value. But it was my fault for never seeing that value, or listening to my friends and family tell me, like, you're worth more than this.
Yeah. Believing others.
It was
Yeah.
crazy, dude. Like, man, it's, I'm so grateful for the things I've gone through. I never want to do it again in my life, especially pledgeship, but I am so grateful I went through it. You
Yeah.
know? So,
And every I think the other thing too is in small business you see it more,
yeah.
because
Definitely.
you're gonna see whoever's more valuable.
Yes.
And you see it in big business too, but from a small business perspective, is you'll have somebody in the same department as you that earns like 30 grand more. Like, how does that happen?
That sucks.
Right? How does it happen? It happens because
Same title, same everything.
they asked.
You may even have more
Yeah.
seniority,
Yeah.
and you still get paid
Someone
less.
asked.
Yeah, you
Someone
have to
has-
ask.
You have to ask, right? And then a
Yeah.
lot of people are so afraid of asking because they don't value themselves. But the funny part is that if they didn't ask, is there the people a lot of times they have this victim mentality, like they should have given it to me. But the reality is you didn't ask, and this is your life. This is your survivalism. Like they in their mind they're like, well, if you're not going to ask for 20,000 more a year or 30,000 more a year,
Yeah.
we're not going to give it to you. And that's, you saved us 30,000. Like, we just, and that also ensures job security. There's a lot of different perspectives from that
Yeah.
individual.
Mhm.
Because liability, if the person's earning 30,000 more, there's more of a target on them. They've got to show
Sure.
that. They got to
They expect more out of you.
Yeah, and then if liability, they look at the asset, or they look at the balance sheet and they're just like, yeah, you cost us way too much, and you're not netting what you're supposed to be bringing in, and you know what I mean. It creates this different dynamics. But my whole point was that it's really, and he said it perfectly. It is the way it's just fixing your lens. Like, I'm a very pessimistic person, but you have to get the beauty out of every experience that you work in, and if you don't,
Amen.
you're fucking yourself. Like, you're fucking yourself in everything you do. Like, I've done shitty jobs where I literally was a landscaper, right? And he said it about Sears, and and there's so many different jobs but I was literally picking, and what it did is it humbled me in a lot of ways. But at the end of the day, it's like, when you experience stuff like that, it's just, you can't ever look at it as like, yeah, it's the reality is it's not the best job and you don't want to do that sort of stuff, but it taught you is like you don't want to be here anymore. And if that wakes your ass up, that's the most honest thing that could, you know what I mean? Like, because there are people that like you ever watch the movie Waiting? Like the whole thing is like you wake up one day, you're 40 and you're still working here, you know, and like it's like what are you doing with your life? You need to move. And so, but I think going back to that, those principles to me. With anger, we went pretty deep on, but we can pass it to somebody on that question. Let me read it again because I even went out of the Trello board here.
I have it here if you want to hear it.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So because we just did that, we did basically the first part. But what unhappy effects of lack of restraint have you lately observed or heard? And you can apply that to yourself, somebody else. It can be. I think we're really just tackling the unhappy portion of this, correct? Because the later on the second half of this includes the happy portion. But I think it's fair enough to split this to two.
Yeah, I think that's how we're gonna actually get more out of it. We'll get more questions out of everything.
We get another week out of Ben Franklin.
Yeah, because we're eventually gonna start repeating.
No, and that's fine. I think that's actually kind of important to split those up because I think that there's definitely those are two different topics. And I think that brings out two different sides of emotions when you talk about unhappy versus happy stuff.
Yeah.
So unhappy effects of lack of restraint have you lately observed or heard? You
have one?
I was
gonna say, did you fully say what you wanted to say, or like did you have more to?
Well, because it's not like it wasn't really a restraint, but no, you should pick. Well, no, you have one. You have a story.
Because you kind of piggybacked off of beef stuff, which was great, by the way. I mean, honestly, that was you guys were together like yin and yang off that. But if there was something else that you wanted to go for it because I'm right here.
I mean, this is definitely part of me too, and like my learning process in life. But I don't want to say any names or anything. But like recent acquaintances and experiences, they're like. I've just observed like where people just have a lack of ownership. You know, it's like it's almost like being caught red-handed, and you're saying like you're not caught red-handed, and like a person in denial where they're not willing to take ownership of like their wrongdoings or whatever. It just like it baffles me at times where like I know like I make excuses and like I'm trying to work on that and grow. It's just hard to understand other people when like multiple people are like complaining or like reporting you and saying like, you know, you're doing this wrong or you're doing that wrong, and then you're like, no, like I'm doing it right, like everyone else is wrong. Like that type of mentality I can't even understand. So that's what I think is like, it's just like ownership, you know. If you're not willing to take ownership, or even like you don't even have to take ownership, you just have to listen. If people are reaching out to you and they're saying like they're like, if a customer's unhappy with you, right, or like you're just not doing your job, performing your job, like you don't have to say anything. You could just self-assess, you know. But when someone's like, no, I don't do that, like, or makes excuses like that, like I just don't get that. Like how. I just don't understand like what you're thinking about when like multiple people are coming at you. And this happened to me this week, like with like, you know, someone I work with, and it's just like it was tough. It was tough for me to understand because it's like no one's coming at you in a malicious way. It's more of like people are trying to help you grow, and that's why I'm like a big advocate for criticism, like good or bad. It's criticism, and I have to take it in. I don't have to oblige by it, but I do have to take it in and reflect on it, whether I think it affects me or not in a positive manner. I think any criticism is good because you're getting observations from like other people from their perspective, and I think the only way you're going to better yourself is if you can better yourself for others, right? So it starts with yourself first, and then bettering yourself for others. It just comes hand in hand. So I think that's the biggest thing for me is like the lack of ownership. It's come to me in like the workplace, even personal life, but it just baffles me when people are just like in denial and they're just like they're so aggressive to like say no automatically without even understanding like, well, maybe what did I do wrong here, you know, or like ask that person if someone's struggling with you and like ask that person like, what did I do wrong here, and like how can I be better? But instead their first deflect is like, no, they must be, you know,
they're the crazy one.
Yeah, exactly. But if it's coming from like multiple people too, it's like, come on, man, like. What do we need to do here?
Yeah.
We're not trying to have an intervention. We're just having a constructive conversation.
We're just trying to get it right. Like,
yeah.
Like you're not like
Why are
not
you-
everybody's not against you.
Yeah. So I've had to deal with that with quite a few people in my past, and I would say they're well over my age. So for me, it's like, I don't know. Sometimes it baffles me, and that, I mean, part of growing up too is like you kind of see that too with like adults or like parents. You know, it's like. No one's perfect, and you always look up, like I've always looked up to parents as like you can do no wrong, you know. But man, parents do a lot wrong.
Yep.
You know, so I think
on
it's just being an
purpose.
observer. It's just being an observer and like learning from life lessons. And it's funny, I know Beef is like such a big reader, and I'm trying to get there. Actually, even the vacation coming up in July for my wife and I literally told her we're going to, like, we set dates down where we're going to go out and either to a park or beach, and we both are going to pick a book to read. That day,
Oh,
and,
that's
like,
great.
Just hang out
That's
and then
so
and
great.
talk about it
The
after.
meditation is
And
so
she's
good.
like, well, I don't want to talk about a business book. I'm like, well, I do. So you can read whatever you want, true crimes, whatever murder novels you want, and I'm going to read mine, and we can converse after, you know. And I said, and then maybe you want to read the book after I read it. So it's baby steps. Like it's hard for me to go all in because I do make a choice. It's my choice. And I make a choice to watch TV with my wife or play games with Nightmare Fuel, right?
Hey.
But I'm trying to take those steps. I've got my finances down now. The next step is to really nail down is like grow intelligently.
Yeah.
You know, by reading books. And I told her the same exact thing. The way you see it is like this. Whoever wrote this book, right? They have a lifetime experience of failures and success.
Yeah.
And I get to read that in a book within a couple of days.
Yeah.
Do you know how much value that gives me?
Yeah.
So
100%.
I get it. It's like a pot of gold when you have. I told my wife because we're watching what was it? Married at First Sight, and it was like this nerdy guy that got chosen right to get hitched with another girl. I was like, he's a smart motherfucker, and she's like, how do you know that? I was like, anyone who has just bookshelves of books, not just one shelf, but bookshelves of books. And they don't look super organized. They look like they've been taken out, read, and stuff. I'm like, he's a smart guy because he reads books. That's bottom line. So, and everyone's always told me all my life, read books. And I agree. Like, if you read, it does make you better. It does make you smarter.
Yeah,
So,
I think you realize because with me with movies and stuff we've talked about this is that you start getting bored of concept of movies and documentaries. You watch them. I watched so many. So what started happening was you said something that is the reason why I've liked books so much is that unlike a director, for a director to be successful, he or she needs to like have a good writer, which they could be the writer, but they have to have a good production crew, good sound, good everything, right?
good actors, actresses.
With writing, there are teams, but for the most part, you're getting from the one person, and they're creating this world for you. And like even if it's not a it's not business or life, it's like, dude, it's just wild, like, because it's like if we just sat down and talked for like, if I talked for literally like 20 hours to you.
I wish that's how books would be.
Yeah, that's why. That's
Trust
what.
me.
You could
That's
do- you could
audio.
do it,
That's what I
too.
listen to is audiobooks.
Audio. That's
Yeah.
what I should probably
So
do.
I don't like reading anymore because it hurts my eyes.
Yeah.
I listen to it and then I'll listen to it while I'm working, and then I'm really
Shit,
good
maybe I
at
should
like
do
I'm
that.
really good at focusing at both at the same time. So I'll be listening. Sometimes if I'm stressed, it actually helps me with stress, by the way. So
Interesting.
it helps me like multitask, which when you can learn to multitask, where you're working on something but you're kind of listening at the same time and thinking, you're relaxed a lot more because you're breathing. I don't know. It works for me. I don't know if it works for everybody else, but I would have said driving, but that's kind of hard now. But yeah, that would be that's
and expensive.
Yeah, but I love ebooks a lot.
Gotcha.
So-
Okay. Good tip.
Yeah, I don't know, but I respect the whole like going out and reading thing.
Yeah.
That's a really good. It's
And
really
something
cool.
you can
Yeah.
do together, as like wife and husband. So
Or reflecting together. That's
yeah.
100%. I'm always on board with that.
it's definitely, man. I mean, we've been together for so long, over 13 years now, and married is a little different. I would say it seems more team oriented, way more now that
Yeah.
we're married. Like before it was kind of like you can make your own decisions. It's okay. Use your own money. Now it's way more focused of like, okay, we got real fucking goals. Like we had goals before, but those were kind of just like ideas we threw out there and we went for them.
Yeah, you're
It was-
upgrading.
Yeah,
you're
'cause
upgrading.
It was
for
really
sure.
that's why we didn't have kids. Like there was by the way, people chat, there's always a pressure from like family, friends, like to get married quick, to have a house, to get kids. Well, all those people saying that to me, I didn't recall any of them giving me a fucking dime to pay that way, you know? So luckily I had a very understanding wife, and we had a hard talk when we were a couple years in the relationship and we got real serious, moved in together. I told her, we're not having kids right away. We're not going to have a big wedding right away. Because guess what? I'm in a career that I don't like right now, or a job I don't like, and I'm not making good money. So 5-6 years down the road, we finally got on our career paths. And she's been through, she worked at Nordstrom Rack. She worked at PetSmart. So she's been through the grimy times too. And she ended up being, a lead supervisor at Costco now. And she has years under her belt now. So it takes time, but it's like, it's all about that planning and communication with your partner. So
that's a
when
lot.
You guys get hitched.
That's a lot of retail.
Is that?
Yeah.
I think that might be a big if. That might be like an all
There's
caps.
nothing wrong with being single too. So.
That might be a big cap if with an asterisk.
Just know it does take work, but I always told my wife in the beginning, I was like, as long as there's no drama, like you're not trying to manifest drama all the time, and it doesn't feel like a second job to me, I will always love this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So it definitely is hard work, but it's never felt like a job to me. Mm-hmm. So, and one thing I would say, and I bet you B feels like this too, is like, I know I'm vulnerable in front of you guys, especially in front of Beef, but man, I'll say, like, when you can find a woman that you could just literally fucking be yourself with, like, you don't have to worry about anything about like how she's going to portray you or anything like that. She just loves you for who you are. It's a great thing. So I highly suggest you just get obese, be the ugliest you can be dirt poor, and then find the girl of your dreams, and then it's all uphill from there. No, I'm
sounds
just
like
kidding,
sounds like all you gotta do is find the girl of my dreams.
Yeah, God. If only,
but just
if only it was that
honestly,
easy.
just find a girl that accepts you for who you are. And same with women. Like, don't try and find a man that you envision that you want to change them into. Love them for who they are and what they have a passion for.
Yeah.
And from there, it's like the rest will work itself out as long as you're willing to work for it.
I think a big thing with finding women too. Like, I know we I don't want to go back into this like I think we did a whole thing on dating and stuff like that. But one thing is, like Gene and I were talking about today, is I've written down to understand thyself, to understand yourself, is you have to understand your principles, right? So going back to that, but a big thing is that who you are when you act at certain times. I feel like I wrote down that I have 6 different personalities, and I don't know if anyone else feels this way, where I can identify personalities being, I can identify how I felt, how I'm acting. Like, there's a time where I'm very intense. There's a time where I'm kind of like you've said it to me, Coach, a bunch of times. Where I'm like, no. I just remember when I used to do that. I'd be like, no. Like, I just do that, and I'm just being dickish for no reason. Or like, there's and then observing. So the cool part about doing this is, if you really observe, you write them all down, these personalities down. And then you ask yourself, do these personalities really reflect the principles you want to set? Mm-hmm. Then you say, who in my life do I show these personalities to? The funny part is, no matter what you can do, you have to, if you really want to find the right, doesn't matter about the right woman. You want to find a woman that really can accept you. Is you have to learn to show all those personalities. Yeah. And I'm saying 6. It could be a lot more. It could be a lot less for you guys.
It could be 5.
Yeah, it could.
18.
And exactly. It could be these different parts of you that, but you have to be okay that, like, sometimes, because to some people, they see that, they're like, that's crazy that you're so different all the time. And it's like, but the reality is if you're showing that, like, that's already that you're willing to show that, that's the only way it's going to work.
It's a form of honesty.
It is. It's a really hard, because
talking about that B side inside of us, and I feel like every guy has that, because I have it too. I mean, my relationship was like this, like, for quite a while. Where, like, I would just outburst. I had rage in me.
Yeah.
And there were sides of me where I'm just like, who the fuck am I? Like, why am I talking like this? Why am I being so disrespectful?
Yeah.
And it was out of anger. It's literally the term. It sounds cliche, but like, I say things I don't really mean. And it's so true. Like, I don't even know where I manifest, like, these certain words.
Sometimes not even anger, though.
Like,
it's like with me, like, I have 3 personalities like that, where I'll say something and I'm like, why the fuck did I say that? Like, it's just 3 of them. The 3 of them aren't. The one's angry, is more on the angry side, but 2 of them are like they're just that form. The one I said, like I'll be like no, or I can't do it for some reason because I'm on the spot. But
Because you're also not 7 years old. So
yeah, but I'll say that and like I'm just being a dick for no reason, and I'm like why? And certain people though, it's actually really fun. It's fun to know yourself. Because if you're not to know yourself in that way, so what I do is I draw a line to people so I drew all the people in my life and who I've shown those personalities to. And it's really interesting. Like I've shown, you guys have seen most of them, but like my point is that, and I think that also is like why you have stronger friendships, bonds, is because you're able to do that, able to show that. The one tip that I could even say further for like, because I'm going back to you guys, is if you're trying to find a woman, is being able to show that, maybe you guys only have one, maybe you're just fine, but it's also being honest with yourself. Like, is that there? And then have you really shown that to everybody, or shown that not to everybody, shown that to people? And then you ask yourself, like, who is there someone that could test that on? Because eventually, and that could be a girl that's a friend, or a friend that's not a girlfriend, but a friend that's a girl that can kind of see that of you. And maybe you guys do that, but that's a big thing, is because if you can't learn to live with the shittiest parts of yourself and move that over and try to work on them to make your actions again line up to your principles, you'll never find someone that's going to accept you, So if you can't accept yourself, why would you expect? Like, if you pity yourself or you look down on yourself, you think you're a piece of shit, you don't value yourself, like, who the fuck's going to want you? No one, right?
I mean,
like no one's perfect, so who the fuck so don't ever think that way yourself, so like I think the principles are, but the only way you're gonna, I think that's you actually I admire the most out of your principles are really strong. We have a friend named Cameron that really, really strong too, and if it comes to like success versus
his name was private, remember?
Well, there's a million.
They don't know how to spell it.
Yeah,
so
there's
it's
a million
okay.
Camerons in this.
True.
Yeah, they don't know how to spell it.
But the ability to show that, he'll look at like, me, or he'll look at other people and be like, oh, I don't have the wealth, or my career, or all those things. But to be able to possess that, like at the end of the day, like I could lose it all. Everyone can lose it all. But if you fall back on those principles, they're way more important any day of the week than what you make on paper or what you've done in like what car you drive or whatever it is. And I really believe that. Like that's exactly why I was bringing up like Belford and like Warren Buffett, is that they always say put people around you. If you want to make a lot of money, put people around you to make a lot of money. It's that simple, right? Like if I want to step up, I need to find people that all they think about is stocks and all they think about is equity and all they think about is that, right? But I don't think life's that. I think life's about that. Like those are important, of course, because that's surviving, but it comes back to learning from people that can help you strengthen your principles as a man and a woman, So, but yeah,
just being happy.
Yeah, and learning. Yeah, exactly. Learning to be happy with it.
Yeah.
Popcorn nightmare.
Popcorn. Yeah. So
if I could turn.
Let's read that question again, just to get back on topic.
I got you.
The longest.
Because I think I have one. So it's kind of blown up past couple days. But go ahead.
Okay. What unhappy effects of lack of restraint have you lately observed or heard? And then, obviously, yourself, anybody else. The other part of the question is of imprudence, of passion, or any other vice or folly. But unhappy.
Okay.
Go.
So, earlier this week, so Steven Crowder, he's a right-wing conservative show holder.
Louder with Crowder.
Louder with Crowder. Yep.
We got to get the tag.
I wish his last name was Chowder, by the way.
Louder with
Clam Chowder.
Yeah.
Steven Chowder.
Yeah.
The red or the white.
Oh God. Oh, only white. We don't do Manhattan style. He reviewed he touched on another channel called H3H3. Ethan Klein is the one that runs that channel, and Ethan was he was reviewing like the CDC guidelines, and like Ethan, he was like an anti-social justice warrior, but he's kind of like gone more left recently, and he said, you don't even have to think about what is going on. Just do what the CDC tells you. Don't think about it. Just do what they tell you. And Crowder took offense to, like, not offense to it, but like he kind of made fun of him a little bit. Like, you don't have to think about it. Like, just do it. Just do what the powers say. And then Ethan, kind of clapped back at him and tried to insult him.
Was it a live debate?
So I'm getting to that actually.
Oh,
It
okay.
they were reviewing each other's like.
Oh, it was a review. Okay,
Yeah, so like
okay.
Steven like reviewed his comments, and then Ethan reviewed Steven reviewing his comments.
Is this on their shows, by the way? Like
Yeah.
they're just talking about each other on
Yes.
each other's shows? Okay.
Yes. And so some troll got into Ethan's DMs, impersonating Steven Crowder's like manager, trying to get him on, and then it ended up Steven Crowder or Ethan reached out to Steven Crowder saying, let's actually do a debate, and then they
About time.
Yeah.
I've been thinking these guys need to do it.
yeah, so
The like a
Ethan,
showdown.
Ethan and Steven.
Just like I'll watch it on TikTok or I want you to finish your thought and then I'll cut. Yeah.
So all the DMs are released. So Ethan reached out to Steven and saying like let's do a debate. Let's talk about this thing that we had a disagreement about. And Steven very specifically said we're going to talk about this, about either looking into the medicine you're taking, or just doing research as opposed to just not doing any research and taking the governing body as gospel and just doing whatever they say.
Yeah.
They agreed. Steven Crowder specifically said, we don't do gotchas, we don't do any shenanigans. It's gonna be Steven, it's gonna be Ethan. It's gonna be just one-on-one. And Ethan said, yeah, definitely. So a couple days ago, they're prepping. I was watching Steven Crowder's channel. They're prepping for the debate or the discussion, whatever you want to call it. And Steven sits down in the chair and he goes, I think he's going to do whatever he can to get out of this debate. I wouldn't put it past him maybe pulling in someone else to debate for him, maybe like this Sam Cedar guy that his producer likes. And so he says that, and then 5 minutes later, Ethan comes on, and they actually have a nice chat. Like they have a nice chat about like, hi, how's your health? Are you, I know your wife's pregnant, all that.
They're civil.
They're very civil.
Yeah.
And as soon as Steven goes, all right, so let's kind of get into what's going on here, Ethan literally goes, oh, hey, so you said I was going to be a layup for a debate. So I prepared.
Oh my.
And he turns, he goes, Dan, is his producer Dan, and Ethan's camera cuts out, and the Sam Cedar guy who is like a left wing. He's been exposed as like a grifter, like a troll.
Uh-huh.
Like
So he did that to set him up.
Yeah, Ethan literally tried to set up Steven. Like couldn't even be a man of his word.
And the way that their side probably sees it is like, oh, they're just sticking it to Crowder. You know,
so
it's like
what happened. So it all blew up. It just devolved into like
that's horrible.
It was entertaining, but it was horrible. And everyone on everyone that's an Ethan Klein like fanboy is vehemently defending him and saying, oh, Steven lost the debate. Steven lost. He ran, and everyone else is like, Ethan, you're a piece of shit. Like, how do you do that? Like,
well, how could he have lost it? If he's trolling him the whole time?
So what happened was that Sam Cedar comes on, and Steven like sarcastically goes, "Oh, I couldn't have seen this coming," even though he literally said like exactly what was going to happen. And he just basically went after Sam Cedar like, no one wants to debate you because the reason is he doesn't really debate facts. He just wants to win. So he'll talk over you. He'll bring up he'll build up straw mans and try and take you down.
Crowder does that sometimes.
He does that sometimes, but not like it's not to the extent of Sam Cedar. Like it's
okay.
It's like
sometimes I get it like because I feel like just being honest. There's like even Shapiro does it too, where they'll cut off people and they're extremely rude, but then they'll also point it back and they'll be like, "You're really rude," right? They'll say it to the people, and there was times when they definitely had shown like that they weren't as respectful, like they weren't respectful to the people. So I feel like, but I need to see the Sam Cedar guy for sure.
At the end they cut it off. And I've seen both sides now. So I saw Steven Crowder's side after the call cut off, and now I've seen H3H3's show get cut off, and they are like, "We did it! We showed him!" And it's like Ethan guy, Ethan and Sam, they think that they like totally owned him, and like they won. And
it's really despicable.
Yeah,
like
and it's
that's I don't mean to
embarrassing.
be super negative, but like it's just not, there's not a lot of integrity there.
It's
It's just like you can't. It's not, you chose. It's like choosing, this was your battle, and it's like I don't get that.
Like, how does someone like that have a following?
Yeah, and he's like, Steven had some pretty good like
even if like it was a flipped flop. Let's say it was
it would be I would go after Steven Crowder if he did that.
Yeah,
I would unsubscribe.
yeah.
I would unsubscribe immediately.
Yeah, it's just like just like, even if you totally strike out debating,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of more honor that you tried versus. I mean, look at like
And
when we
that's
talk about the
honestly
Paul
like
brothers.
Like honesty, instead of like being like, yes, we'll debate, and then
Yeah,
all of a
just
sudden you
whip
back
in
out the
someone
last
else.
second, like let somebody else come fight your fight, or
Yeah.
come like fight your debate just because.
You won't do it
Yeah,
well.
basically you're gonna
like-
have someone that doesn't give a shit about it. And I mean, I don't know who Sam Cedar is, but like you had said, like he just wants to win. There's definitely a lot of people on. There's people on both sides
Mhm.
that will just do whatever it takes to be the only person talking in the room.
Yeah.
And that right there is, I mean, it's not in the same
Excuse you.
category, but Stephen A. Smith, in my eyes, like falls into that, because the man yells more than just about anybody else I know for like in anything, just to make points. And it's like, you try and prove him wrong, and then you just basically like ups the emotion and the yelling tenfold just to make it seem like his point is that much better. And he just takes outrageous takes just for the hell of it, because otherwise he might not have a TV show. If he wasn't the guy that takes outrageous takes or says flamboyant things, like he might not have a TV show anymore. And that's how he's built his thing. So it's like, if someone said, "Oh, I'm going to debate this guy," and all of a sudden they just swapped out, and like Stephen A. Smith came and just started yelling at you on stuff, it's like, yeah, there's really no honor in that side. And that's like, and if it happened on both sides, like the same way, I would, you'd be disappointed, you unfollow, and you wouldn't follow like that person more, and you would call him out on it.
Yeah, and on this like, on the Sam Cedar train, like, you don't get to just pester people for a discussion, and like when they say, I don't want to talk to you, like you don't argue in good faith. You don't.
I think that's like,
and then shoehorn yourself into someone else's podcast by backdooring into a debate. Like,
not in a good way.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't look at Sam Cedar there as a bad thing. I just think like there isn't a lot of good intentions there. It's more about the first act of like, hey, you committed to doing something here.
Yeah,
from
Ethan
the
is
other.
definitely the scummiest scumbag in this
it's
situation.
just like the end game there is that it was malicious. Like, if anything, he's more malicious than Sam Cedar. Sam Cedar knows what he needs to do to create buzz or create an entertainment.
He came out smelling like roses.
I don't even know Sam Cedar, so it's like that's the thing. But like the other, I don't even know Ethan too. But it's just like, if you step back, like but the thing is like that negativity sells. It goes back to the whole thing about what we were talking about.
Sam Cedar gained 30,000 subscribers
from
Ethan's audience.
Yeah. See, what's funny though is like we talk about OnlyFans, right? It's like all that sells, and they're so incentivized to act that way.
Mm-hmm.
Even Stephen A. Smith. Yeah, Stephen A. Smith,
but
and
at
all
the cost of
money
his
talks.
integrity.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, what we
whatever
see.
he had left.
That's the interesting thing is like,
which one?
Sam.
Oh yeah.
You brought up Stephen A. Smith, who's a good example for what I'm about to say, because I've seen. So when it shuts off, when like the lights shut off, he's like they've shown it. He's a very respectful guy. He's very nice.
Like he's not that. He's not.
Yeah,
he's
it's
not the
an
yelling
actor.
guy.
It's a character.
It's definitely for the
show. So
show.
it's like. That's the thing is you're paying for a character now. It's like, and that becomes a question of it's much easier with sports, because sports itself is just entertainment.
Right.
When you're talking about rights and things of that
like
really that apply to us.
And
It's hard to watch a character totally shit on something that's our livelihood, or not livelihood, our
way of living.
civics.
It's not like that guy gets off camera and all of a sudden he's just like, I'm actually on the right, and he's like this. He's like, I'm pro 2A.
I think about that.
I
think about that so much.
He's
I
like
know you do.
walking through like Ron Burgundy and like and Anchorman was like, good job today, guys. He's like, bop, bop, bop. He's like folding papers and he's like high fiving the cameraman. They're like, yeah, this was great.
You just said the F word on camera.
Yeah.
I just think like how there should be a stat sheet like of if a person is like these people, for example.
Mm-hmm.
If like Sam Cedar and what's the other guy, Ethan?
Ethan Klein. Yeah.
They have their stat sheet and they show what they voted. Like
Yeah.
they voted because I want it should be there because I want to really see what they voted for, even if whether they voted for propositions in the state that they're in or things like that, because it's important for them to exemplify, and even their way of living. Your dad said that to me when I said that to him.
Mhm.
He said their way of living too should embody what they're prophesizing or they're trying to create a buzz around, right?
Right.
If that should be important. They should be held
Like they
to
should
that
how to
account.
explain that stuff.
Yeah,
like
'cause
have an answer for it.
It goes back to that principles thing, right? Because then we're sitting there. Stephen A. Smith is different. It's like, okay, that's entertainment. But when you're talking about, again, a person that is
A
saying
law.
things that could influence people to vote a different way,
Right, yeah.
that's where it's like, okay, like,
Or get a vaccine or wear masks.
Yeah.
yeah, or
Yeah.
things of,
But that's
like,
just more-
like
that-
re-
that
like,
was
like
more-
actual like real life consequences to it. Like
exactly,
like
yeah.
voting for, like you had said, for voting a certain way, like voting for people to be in power that have certain intentions,
Mhm.
or voting for people in power that allow other people with certain intentions to basically ram through other stuff, because now you've voted in other semi like-minded people that could maybe be forced to kind of go along with the rest of the herd. Like it can go either way, you know,
Exactly,
whether
yeah.
it's right or left, you know, or center, but
And
if
it
you-
should
if
be
you
a
do
statute for
yeah,
that,
if you
you
do
know?
that, like little victories and stuff, like little things add up to a bigger issue.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's what a lot of people are realizing now in America. It's like, you know, they're finding out like some of these people in public offices don't really actually fight for the things that they said that they stand for.
That's been
when they-
I think it's been happening forever. Though.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
people are maybe becoming more aware of it now, or maybe they're caring more, or it's happening more often as, like you had said, we get like that divide gets bigger.
Mhm.
I feel like there's it's been going. I think the divide's been getting bigger for a while now, and it's been getting wider and wider to where I feel like it's affecting, or people starting to like realize a little bit more that like some of these things that they thought they were voting for are not actually going to happen or haven't been happening, and now some people are getting sick and tired of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't really appreciate getting threatened to die by a nuke. So
Yeah, that was.
I also don't. I don't
yeah.
want to.
Being
I've
threatened
seen
with
Terminator
a gun,
too many times.
a
It doesn't
knife,
look good.
That's okay. But like using a threat of, I'll nuke you.
the president
Not really okay with that.
threatening to nuke an airstrike. Again,
Let's move
He's
over
already-
to what would you like to?
he's already has
That was-
airstrike citizens. Let's do it again.
Before I don't need to reread the question because I have it in front of me, but
You have it memorized.
but yeah. Before I say my Junto Origin answer,
I did that. I saved all your lives, by the way. I just want to let you know.
you saved all of our lives.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, oh,
Move it along.
Rest in peace, McAfee.
yeah.
Move
Never
along.
And
Go
oh
answer
shit, our
party.
stream has been cut.
I saved your lives.
Yeah, that was it.
We at Junto do not have any information on the Clintons.
No, we don't.
We love you.
We definitely voted for you.
And I may be Japanese, but I'm Japanese American.
Yeah.
Stop Asian hate. Stop Asian hate.
We're covered on that end. I'm
Come on, get 'em all out,
I'm
get 'em
actually
all
a
out.
quarter Norwegian, so technically, I mean,
Norwegian sounds Asian.
You're a Viking.
Wegian?
You know what Vikings did? You should be held
Funny is
responsible
they're
for.
yeah. Oh, you know
Everything
what?
the
Maybe
Vikings
maybe
did.
that was the wrong part. I'm French. Is that better? I give
no.
up. I give up.
You're willingly admitting to being French.
I love
Well,
croissants.
it might have been better than going down the road of
Croissants
like
are so
Vikings
bomb.
500 years ago did some awful things to people, or 1,000 years ago, but they did.
You
make
look
some,
like you belong in Braveheart, though.
They did make some awesome helmets, though.
Yeah,
Can we
that's
agree
true.
on that one?
That is true. Those horned helmets.
So for my Junto Origin question, before I say it, I've always seen the podcast as I've seen the podcast as, and it has become a way for the four of us to probably have been as open and with a mic in front of us as we've always ever been, and we've been open with each other on and off the camera. We've been, as we talk about issues and stuff, stories come up, we tell stories. I told a story about how I almost shit my pants riding back from Mammoth today. I wasn't necessarily, I'm sure my mom would love to listen to this episode of the podcast and hear about that. But that wasn't necessarily a story I was probably ever planning on telling, because I was like, you know what, Beef's always got us covered because he's so willing to be open and honest about that stuff that I never really figured I would ever have to, or I'd ever want to. Because he kind of had us covered in the crap your pants department.
You are comfortable
But
here.
my answer is pretty personal, and I feel like I opened up about some stuff we talked about like a date and stuff, which is whatever, because it's not like I wasn't like, yeah, I'm like planning on proposing, and then she like listened to it and wasn't surprised or anything, and it wasn't anything. But for me, my Junto answer is myself, because we actually, there's a lot of stuff that led up to this answer today that we've always talked about principles. I believe it's on our Twitter and maybe even also the Instagram in our bio that says, "What do you stand for?"
Mm-hmm.
Which was probably one of the first things that we probably talked about or asked, discovered, made as a point of emphasis for ourselves. And I think it's a really fair and honest and open question to get the most basic answer, and it doesn't even need to be a long answer. It's a very short answer, I feel like, when you ask someone that. And for me, that, like, we've talked about we've talked about principles and everything else today, so far, and it really kind of sheds a light when you get to self-reflect on yourself and you realize that, I mean, everyone knows we're not perfect, but when you fully come to a moment where you realize that you're not perfect when you want to be, but you also fall short in more areas than you probably would like to admit. I don't think anybody freely enjoys admitting that they fall short in a lot of stuff in life. I mean, at my job, like when I was coaching and stuff, there's days where I self-reflect and I was like, I really sucked today. Like, today did not go as planned. This was not how this was supposed to go. But things happen in the training session. Kids don't get things. Kids get hurt. They maneuver around. Things happen. Kids show up late. Kids don't show up at all. And just all the variables you can't control life, which is probably the most frustrating thing for me because I hate not doing well, and I hate not controlling certain variables. I guess a lot. I don't know. A lot. I'll say a lot. I hate not being in control of myself or feeling like I'm in control of myself. So my Junto answer, unhappy effects of lack of restraint that I've observed lately and heard, that just is like myself as an answer, because I've definitely not been who I like to see myself as, or who I'd like people to see me as. I think that's a big thing too. Is going back to like the John Wooden well. I'm pretty sure this is an original John Wooden quote, or whether he said it or it was from somebody else. But it is reputation is who other people see you as, but character is who you are. And so I think that a lot of people get that really confused because people, I think, blend reputation and character together when you don't really know. When people, especially when you don't know somebody, and you look at it and you're like, well, the reputation is this guy is a like blatant asshole to people and this and that. But what you don't know is that like the people who are making that character assessment or are using their experiences of just his reputation, or they're using bad apples or making the rest of the batch like stink. And I think it's very different when you fall and you recognize that your character is still in a good spot and it's still where you would like it to be. Your reputation is starting. You don't want your reputation to start defining who your character is. I feel like I'd hate to see someone's reputation really change what they feel about what their character is and where they want to be. So for myself, I definitely haven't been the coach that I've wanted to be. Even through the last like 6 months, I had high hopes, or I had high expectations, and I hold myself very accountable when I'm coaching that, like, if stuff doesn't go very smoothly, I'm not that happy at the end of a session because, I think I put myself in a head coaching position, and I was like, well, if I was a head coach right now instead of an assistant, how would my assistant coach have evaluated me as a head coach, like running what I just did? Or, if stuff would have happened as like an assistant coach looking at me, I'm like, how would they have just evaluated me as? And I haven't necessarily been the greatest at applying that to outside of my career choice environment, whether it be other work, it be family, friends, whatever segment of walk of life it wants to be. And so it's not the most fun thing to admit, and it's not the most fun thing to go through. Like I said before, no one really wants to freely admit that they do bad.
What's the reason though?
For
like, if you're measuring it? I guess like what's your measurement of? So you just will focus on the coach part, the being at work.
Mm.
So when you're at work, like what's stopping you from being that the so like at the end of the day, like it's like keeping it to like what you said about character, like what character and reputation, but where's the disconnect between of like what you want to be, like what's your image of what you want to be in that moment or whatever, what you want to get out of it versus what's not happening, and then what are, because the reality is that's the reality like you're saying, but what's the feeling that where's the like what are you not telling yourself, in those moments? Like what is it? Fear? Are you fear driven from something, or like what's the reason why you feel like it's, whether it's coaching or whatever, you feel like it's resulting in that, like, what I mean? What do you feel like that? Because a lot of it is like, in my mind, it's really hard to ask yourself that question, because that means you have to kind of open up to yourself in a lot of ways, and sometimes it's hard. Like you're in denial a lot. Like I'm as a person, you're in as a like I'm speaking in general. As a person, people are typically, your first engagement is denial, because you don't want to accept that because you're afraid that, for me, when I am in denial, I'm afraid that people can see right through me, and then it's like, and the funny part is I'm so afraid of what other people are thinking. That typically is why I'm in denial. If I just cared more about not caring about those people, and just caring about like just being honest, then it results in typically where I can forgive myself and move on.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, like, I'm asking you.
I think it's definitely fear. Fear, and I think fear is probably one of the biggest motivators, if not the biggest motivator. I think I've always been somebody who, like, grown up with family and stuff. You're always like, I'm there for my family. I'm so close to my family. I play baseball with my friends. I hang out with them all the time. I'm there for my family and my friends. You want to be reliable. You want to be dependable to them. You want to be somebody that people can rely on. And I've always taken a certain level of pride in that. People, like friends from school, they'd go dream, but hey, if you need a ride, like call me. Like, I want to be your first phone call. Like, don't call somebody else that like I don't think can do the better job than I can. And so it's like trying to always like make myself that person, but being afraid, I guess, of failing is a big thing, because like, I mean, it's like we've talked about and we've read, like, people read books like, hey, like, failure is like driving you to do better and this and that, which is awesome. However, it's not always the case. And so it's like, definitely, I think fear of failing is probably like the biggest thing. Because I think sometimes in certain situations you think about, like, you might not get another shot if you fail. Like, there might not be a learning opportunity if you fail in something. And
there always is.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things that's like, that's definitely,
because what did you learn about yourself when you failed? Like,
I've made like so many adjustments as a coach. Like, when I failed, like I've like pivoted on the spot, or I've learned to pivot on the spot as a coach, or have backup plans, have like contingency stuff that comes in that before I didn't really understand or know how to do correctly. So I think it's just it's all a learning experience, but you still I still hate it when I suck, and I don't. It's not like everybody wants to be that person, but it's definitely something that I've noticed about myself, and so that definitely satisfies the unhappy portion of that first half of that Junto question, like going and stuff. But fear, I think, is. I mean, I would say that. I mean, you've definitely read way more books than me on the guys, like the success, like the men that are really successful in business, or guys that have like really like kind of like paved the road that I think other people follow when it comes to like, how do you be successful. I don't know. I mean, being that I haven't read any of those books, that puts everybody above me. But when they talk about like that mindset, or like a killer instinct or mindset that people have to have, where you can't let like a failure define everything, or like end you there. Like, if everybody ended after their first failure, a lot of shit wouldn't have happened at this point. But I think that's definitely the biggest thing for myself, and I feel like there's a lot of people that are probably they're exactly the same way.
I think it's also what people fail to do, or people do too often, is that they look at, everything is impossible. And that's the ultimate failure, is seeing that it's impossible before you even try. Because you have the wrong expectations. Like, it's just like no matter what you do in this life, no matter what, whether it's a relationship or it's doing this or it's like us doing this podcast right now, you have to believe in it wholeheartedly, because if you do, you're going to be a lot happier. Because even if you failed in doing something that like you put your heart into, and that's it. Like, and to me, like most books, most stories that people, most things that what most people do, and I think this is the ultimate failure, is they compare themselves to something else. Now I do that a lot, but it's comparing yourself in how there's a difference between comparing yourself and seeing it as I'm never going to be that. And then there's comparing yourself and seeing yourself. It's like what we just talked about with books. You can reflect that into your life and mirror it. You mirror the good decisions. You learn from the failures. You bring that into your own life, and you think, how can I apply this where I can sidestep that failure? I don't have to fall in that pitfall. And so a lot of the times, I think the ultimate weakness for most people is they believe it's not possible. It's the first thing. They think it's not possible, and then also they don't have. This is my biggest thing for most people is they don't have the belief of hard work to get it there. And really, at the end of the day, it's those two. It's like you got to take away the impossible, and it really is. That's corny saying impossible is nothing, because it is. Fear is a liar. It'll always lie to you because it makes you think it's your friend, and then ultimately it's not. The best thing to do is to live in that failure. Failure is your friend. Fear is just a liar that makes failure look bad, but failure actually, you grew. You said you learned, and so like. Being vulnerable also, like most people get rejected. Vulnerable, I'm not talking about work or anything, but just being vulnerable to a woman. Like a lot of people are so afraid of that.
Yeah. And
it's like you have to just look at it as that's who you really are, and if they rejected that, that's okay too.
Yeah.
Or it's like sometimes they reject off the bat, and you sometimes you have to like assess the person. Like it's like what Bob Marley says is that everyone's gonna hurt you, but some people are worth suffering for, and he said that, and he's like, he's like, everybody's gonna hurt you in your life. You just have to find the people that are worth suffering for, and it's like it's such a true statement. So going back to fear is the one thing you can do is like you train yourself, and you don't just it's not just a flip of a switch. It's because I know G and I didn't learn this flip of a switch either. Mine was you'll eventually fail so much that you'll look around and you're like, I feel like a complete failure. And then I remember I drive home every day, and he kind of talked about this about his work. I drive home on the 5 freeway, and I remember just sitting there like every day being mad, just like thinking like I've picked the wrong career. I'm a complete fucking loser. And I remember sitting in the 5 freeway. I'd be in traffic for an hour and a half, and I'd be so angry. And I remember I'd cry a lot, and I remember I hated everything. And I looked at myself, and I was like, that was just fear telling me I couldn't do something back at Irvine. Couldn't go back every day. And I remember going the drive there in the mornings thinking, I was like a stupid kid at Disneyland thinking, I believe this is going to change. And then I'd get shit right back out. And then one day I just sat there and I was like, I need to take back control of that fear. Take back the fear from me. And to ultimately tell myself it's not the fear that is making me angry. It's the lack of acceptance of myself that's making me angry. Not being able to accept what I'm doing and find the joy in what I'm doing. And when I started to find the joy in what I was doing, I was the happiest I've ever been. I was crazy about working. I got paid shit when I started. I got paid shit. It was horrible. I got paid really crappy. And I had to believe it that tomorrow was going to be a better day. No different than Sears for him. Whatever that stepping stone is. But the ultimate tip though, is like love fear, just love it love failure. Love failure so much that it becomes your best friend, because even if you get fired tomorrow, you don't get the job you don't want, one day you will, if you keep trying and you keep.
There's literally other doors.
The door's gonna open. Yeah,
there is.
And you're gonna laugh like one day you'll be living in that failure, And 10 years will go by, and you're like, man, you'll look back and you're like, look at what I've accomplished, because you learn to live in failure, and that's the ultimate, like, because if you look at it as like, oh man, like, what do other people see of me, and it doesn't work. And then one thing I was gonna say to you is, I think the same way about family, but I look at it as like, that's why I really focus on the financial aspects of it. That's why I like surviving now, is I want to create an end game for my parents where I can take care of them, and that's like how I see it. I mean, being there for someone is important too, but it's really like, how do you want to be there for somebody? Like, because I know my parents can survive on their own. At the end of the day, it's asking yourself, what kind of family person do you want to be? What kind of friend person do you want to be? And it's like, but going back to what you're saying, like, it's not everybody's so afraid of failing, like, stepping into that new thing. It's just like,
It's part of life.
yeah.
Part of life.
Yeah, it's just part of it, man.
I'll
like,
say this too: the wise words of J-Lo, and I've told you this too. On World of Dance,
that's not said a lot, by the way. That's like the first time that's ever been said.
Wise
The
words
words
of
of
J-Lo.
J-Lo.
Whether you
Yeah, I
have
don't.
your own, personal opinions, that lady hustles. She works her ass off.
Yeah, she
Bottom
hustles
line, right?
dudes.
And yeah,
Like A-Rod,
yeah,
poor
that too.
A-Rod.
But hear me out. It's $1 million dance competition for World of Dance, right? $1 million for being a dancer. Like, who would have thought we'd be at a stage in our generation where that's like possible, right? Like,
Yeah.
someone's dancing passion can win you $1 million. So, bottom line is, what she would say to some of the contestants that would fail, they said she would tell them that hard work will always beat out talent.
Yeah.
Always beat out talent.
Oh yeah.
And that's
yeah.
why
I've
I'm
heard
very envious of this gentleman right here. You,
Ooh, me.
Nightmare. Because you are so naturally gifted in so many aspects. Not just in sports, not just in like knowing stuff. It's just like whatever you're passionate. You're very similar to my brother, where like you guys were gifted with like this like sense of knowledge and gift of like picking up things really quick, but not just picking it up, but being great at something. But you guys get so great at something that you lose interest in it, because either it becomes mainstream or someone comes out better than you, and you're just like, well, someone's better than me at this. I'm over it. Like, I'm moving on to the next thing.
That sounds
And
right.
I'm so envious of you guys for that, like to have that within you, because my thought is like, I'm not saying that you don't work hard. You do work hard. I totally commend you for that. But what I'm saying is, for for the gift you have, to not stick with something you're passionate about just because of whatever reasons. That's where like your hard work ethic, if you combine that with your talents and your passion for whatever you want, you connect all of those things like a fucking tripod, right? You're going to create something where you're going to look back 10 years and you're going to be like, holy shit,
Yeah.
I don't even recognize the guy who I was 10 years ago to who I am today. And so that's why I'm trying to tell you that if there is something you like and you want to do it, even if you fail, it's fine. Even if you're not the best, it's fine. But as long as you stay hungry, happy, and humble, you're going to get it, man, because that's how gifted you are. I would kill to have that type of talent, right? Because with my work ethic, like, I'd be an unstoppable beast, but I have to work for everything I do. People think Goichi's smart, right? Like, he knows technology. I'm not smart. I fucking read, I did tutorials, I do trainings, I consistently learn, I observe, I am a sponge, I ask questions. I ask the dumb questions because I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks of me in the room for being the dumbass. Because guess what? You're making fun of the guy who's the dumbass, but I'm the top of the leaderboard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I ask those questions because I want to understand.
Yeah.
And eventually it just turns out to be like the guy who's making fun of me ends up being the lonely person by themselves. And they're like, well, I can't.
While you're excelling.
Exactly. So what I'm trying to say is, like, don't be so hard on yourself, and do what you love. Do what you love and work hard at it. Give it your all. Because if you work just as hard as your job, but you work at something else that you're very passionate about, think about the results you'll get from
Exactly.
that, right? And you consistently stay with it. It just means you'll get better and better. It may not mean you're number one all the time, but it will be proven that you'll get better over time. It's just a matter of hard work. That's all it is. And for me, like, what I was going to say too is within sales, it happened even today on our sales call today with my company, where like the VP always tries and compares me to other people. And he literally said, like, you guys are neck and with another sales rep who's been there like 10 years, right? And they're like double my age. He's comparing me to them and saying, you guys are neck and neck in a race. You know what I said? I said, for me, He's like, you guys are neck and neck in this race. I said, you know what? I'm just happy I have my own pathway to follow, and that's it. I'm not here. I don't look at it as a competition. I don't look to my left. I don't look to my right. I look at my goal ahead of me because the only person who's going to stop me is myself. So, and it's been proven. Like, as long as I keep working with people that want to work with me, and I stay hungry and I work my ass off, results will come.
Yeah.
I mean, I've failed so many times. I've had shitty paychecks. I used to work at Sears with 3-hour shifts because the manager hated me. A week, 3 hours a week. That's all I get.
Jesus.
Yeah, and I worked on commission there. And so, like, there's so many times where I'm so defeated, or I've had the lowest moments, like beef, where, like, I mean, dude, this is really personal, but, like, I didn't take the actions, but there was feelings within me where, like, I didn't even want to be on this earth anymore because there was so much shit going on in my life. I was just like, the pain just going away altogether would probably feel a lot better than what I'm going through right now. But it was like the people, the loved ones by my side, like my brother, who talked me out of it to keep going. But he wasn't even on board with me with where I was at. Like, he hated that I was in the IT industry. He hated that I was stuck kind of in a bubble cubicle where, like, I couldn't grow. Like, he saw me kind of dissolve and, like, become, like, just this, like, hole of darkness, and emptiness. And it wasn't until I stopped giving a fuck about things that, like, truly I started to see, like, the light at the end of the tunnel. And by that, I mean, and this was hard for me to understand, but people would always tell me, stop giving a fuck so much. Because I would let shit get to me. Because I give you so much, but then you give me nothing in return, and I kind of expect to get something, right? Even a thank you, and it would frustrate me. But why? Why? And, like, I shouldn't sweat the small things. So at the end of the day, what my brother was trying to tell me was, like, you can still care about your job. You can still care about the things you want to do in life, but stop caring so much. Don't let it eat at you day in and day out. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter that much, So, that's just my 2 cents on that. But yeah, I truly believe in you, Nightmare.
I'm looking for that light harder than people think.
I mean, when you talk about things, like, you're so intricate and, like, detailed, but you're patient as well. So it's like you have all these strengths. It's just like you just gotta believe in yourself, man. That you're capable of doing whatever you want to do, and just go get it.
You have been with Junto. You've been doing a great job.
Yeah.
You show it. You show that, like, what he said, that was really one of the key things about going back into what you said about fear of failure is how you're perceived and how it looked. He said, I wasn't afraid to look stupid. Because in IT, things are it grows so quickly. Like, tomorrow there's something new that you'll never hear of.
Yeah.
And you can either choose to look stupid in front of people with it, or you can choose to try. Or, I'm sorry, you can either choose to try, or you choose to not try and adjust with the time, which is because you're surviving, you're trying to understand it, or you choose not to understand it and you become obsolete. It's that simple.
Yep.
So you have to choose to be stupid. And the better you're able to speak to it, the better it gets. But not using IT, it's like that in life, right? The more you're able to just be willing to, like, not care what looking stupid, and that goes to also yourself, the reflection between you. It goes back to that whole Friday Night Lights speech. I don't know if you guys listened to that. I said that yesterday, but that's how I value my life. It's like being perfect is not about failing. It's not about, like you said, it's not about a scoreboard. It's not about any of that. It's about your relationship with yourself, your family, your friends, and not sweating the small stuff, right? Or sweating the stuff that really doesn't matter. Is like, if you can look people in the eye, he says, if you can look your friends and your family and loved ones in the eye and tell them you did everything you could, with, like, passion in your heart, like, that's it. And that's yourself. The most important thing is yourself first. So when you look at fear, like, that's coming from a guy that literally was, like, on the 5 freeway, that was, like, just not the happiest person ever. So that's just what I can say, is, like, because I chose to live so much in anger and fear, and anger and fear for me are intertwined.
Yeah.
Because I get angry because I'm in denial of what I'm afraid of. So that'd be my suggestion, is the big thing is writing. Even what I said to you guys, like, I'm just curious to hear what your principles are. Like, I know you guys know them, but it'd be fun to just even talk about that. Like, what are your principles?
That could be another.
That's
a good start.
Yeah. Just for fun, because
I need to write them down.
What's that?
I think it'd be fun to write them down.
Yeah, it's
I think
good.
It's
Yeah,
necessary to write them down, because
I do too.
you think, like, I think it's one thing to think about it, or to like see it in somebody else, or have somebody else say it and be like, that's me.
Yeah.
That's me. that's me, and then say it. But then like actually like write it down with, I don't know whether you'd really like need a meaning of whatever that principle is, or maybe you write it down and you write down how you think you fit it. Because if you can't, I mean, it's one of those things like if you can't explain something, or if you can't like explain how that possibly fits you, then does it really fit you, or you just like the idea that it potentially fits you?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. So if you like the idea,
like, do you want that, or is that
And
like
that's-
actually you, or is it just like that's what you want?
Yep.
And you're just like you're either not there, or you're not
That's it.
having it type of deal. It's
yeah,
like
you're not there yet. That's
Yeah.
how I see it. Is that like there might be things when you guys are listening to mine, or vice versa. Like I might listen and be like, I don't think that way of you at all. But But if you can be honest with yourself, even what I'll do is I'll even say where I think I'm not good at it. Like
Yeah.
I'm too
like
far
you still
separated.
put it down, but you don't think you're like that's
Well,
not your top one.
I don't look at it as a ranking. It's more when I've written them down. I've looked at it more of like you're going to do it. The reality is you're going to do an action that may not look. Let's say like you do a million actions this year. Like just a million actions mean like talking, doing a
Right.
task, all that.
Yeah.
Not one of them could have been part of this principle.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that's not what you don't stand for that. That just means that you've alienated yourself from that principle, and you need to bring because if you really can't value that means in your heart, in your mind, it's logical and it's a part of you. You think that, or that's a part that you want yourself to be.
Yeah.
And
Like
it's
it's a bigger
valuable.
part of your actual like day-to-day life.
And you want it to be. You want to represent. It's not about representing to others. It's about because you ask yourself, if I do that, will that make me feel better?
Yeah.
And that's where I think a lot of it comes is like, and that's how I feel about it, is that the more you actually know what those are, I bet money the more the actions will start to intertwine with what your principles are.
Yeah.
Like, because if you have them in your head and you see them, I don't think a lot of people know theirs. Like, they don't know what they would stand for.
I think
you
that
know?
self-reflection though causes a lot of thought processing for people. Like to actually have to write them down and think them. They're like, holy shit! Like I might have to actually like think about this one, or
Yeah.
I think it causes you.
yeah.
I think it causes you to think about some things that maybe you hadn't really thought about before. That potentially changes how you now perceive yourself in with certain things. Because thinking about things, you're like, well, I didn't think about that prior to this, but now that I think about it, that probably doesn't fit. That circle doesn't really fit into the square all that well, as well as I thought it did, and so like it kind of maybe causes you to change, or at least like, how can I adjust? Because I don't think there's anything wrong with saying a principle that you have a principle or anything that maybe you don't live up to, because if you really do want it to be a part of your day-to-day life, I think there's definitely potential. There's a possibility where you just need to. It needs to be like. You need to actually think about that to like make
Be honest
it a part.
with
Yeah,
yourself.
you need to try.
Yeah.
You need to try to actually make it a part instead of just saying,
Yeah.
that's me. Instead, you need to actually try and make it about you, or make you fit to that, rather than just say it.
And that's how I see it, is that like I went back to that like gap, principle versus action. And it could be this is just one principle and these are actions. If you are closer to your actions reflect more of your principles, you will be at peace, you'll be happy, you'll trust yourself. If it's the more it spreads out, it's further and further away from it, like you alienate yourself and you don't know who you are anymore, and then that you feel like you don't have a will or a purpose for that. And that's what I was saying with failure is the ultimate truth. Because just like scoring a goal in the net, if you're a goalie, there's nothing that is more honest than looking back and seeing the puck in the net.
Yeah.
You just
And
know,
knowing
that you caused
yeah,
it.
and you know what that comes with that. But the reality is that's the truth. Fear is not the truth.
Right.
It never is. Like, it's never true to you. It's not.
Yeah.
It could help you make decisions that can keep you in a conservative approach. But that said, like, it will never ever be the truth because you don't know it's true yet. Like until you fail. Like failure and success are really the only two. Like, and success is not as easy to earn as failure. Failure is so constant. So the funny part is we're failing all the time, really, in life. We're failing way more than we succeed. You know, like so.
Yeah, I mean, failure and accomplishment. I think is the black and blue, is like the true and false of life. Sorry.
Good job.
I didn't realize I was off to the side.
Yeah.
But like that failure is the true and false of life. Like it's like
I feel like it just needs to be redefined as a definition overall
Yeah.
too, because it's not even failure. It's like it's learning.
It's
Yeah.
used as
It is.
such an. I think it's always used as such a negative, and I think
Uh-huh.
internally, in certain aspects of my life, I use it. I go back and forth between my definitions of it, which is not the healthiest for myself because I see it as a learning opportunity in some, and I see it as complete and utter like destruction of me as a person in like others.
It's
And I
'cause
think
do you
that's
think it's because
definitely
of your Lutheranism?
I don't
'Cause
know.
I think Catholicism
I don't
has
think
a-
I've ever like thought about it like that. I think I've just seen it as like I've had some. I think I use like failure in like public speaking, which I don't know. I guess I'm still very critical of myself because like people are like, oh, like when I taught a class, they're like, wow, you talk about stuff really well. I'm like, that's awesome. I messed up on 17 words during that speech or during my talk that I had, and I'm like I noticed that stuff, and to other people though, they're like, he did way better than they might be thinking like he did way better than I ever thought I could. So like that's like success for me. Whereas like for me, I'm like that's a learning experience where maybe I need to review the last 10 minutes of my lecture more so that I didn't fuck up more.
Yeah.
But then other times it's like I see it as I've viewed it or continue to view it where it's like holy shit, like the world's ending. I need to like go hide in a bomb shelter and just get the fuck away from here. And I don't know. It just I think like having like that two different definitions isn't the healthiest thing for myself or anybody because how can you really learn if you view it as like such a negative all the time instead of like G had said it like it's a learning experience, it's a positive.
That's why I
And
brought
think
up
that's why
Lutheranism.
it gets brought up there,
and
but I don't
Catholicism.
think I've ever really thought about it when it comes to like the
That
religious
could-
aspect.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it
I
could
do
even
see where
stem
you're going
from
with
parents telling you like,
but
yeah,
which
yeah.
their values typically.
which is funny because both
Yeah.
my parents work hard as fuck and,
Yeah.
and have always done it, and like they've I respect my parents and my grandparents more than anything because like when you get older you talk to them about like things that happen in life.
Yeah.
When you're a kid and you see your grandparents or your parents or your aunt and uncle and stuff, you're like, oh, they like got everything figured out. Like fucking life is just hunky dory for everybody. And then you start finding out like little things that happen throughout
Yeah.
life, and you're like, wait a second, like you guys are successful and or happy, and that shit happened to you at some point in life. Like
Yeah.
grandma did this, aunt so and so did that, or like something happened here, and it's like you never know that stuff, but it's like there was a learning experience. Like that shit happened. Like, and that's one of the things I think getting older, like talking with my family and even some of my mentors, talking with them about their journeys as coaches was kind of like, okay, like I kind of knew this stuff before, but when you start getting into the nitty gritty details of a lot of things, it is a learning experience, and like their failures have helped me. And I hope that sooner rather than later, I can transition from like coaching stuff into the other aspects of my life and let it be a positive. And like G said, I think that's probably the best way to say it, honestly, is redefine what. And I think you
The
said
Super
it as well.
Mario, yeah.
But like
The Super
redefine
Mario.
the word like failure into like why does it always have to be why does it have to be a negative? Why can't it ever be? Why can't people just use
Super
it as
Mario,
positive?
like TED Talk, yeah.
So like
that's
redefine
it.
that stuff,
Yeah.
and I think that's great. And
But
I think that's
how you look at it, how I look at it is, because I've been going to therapy, is where did it stem from, right?
right.
And parenting is part of it, but our parents also are, and I should have actually yours too. Catholicism is, and we'll just say Catholicism because everything kind of branches from that.
Mhm.
Our society is built on Christianity,
Right.
and in the Bible, it's very black and white thinking, right?
Mhm.
So, what's failure, success? Simple, right? You're taught that those are complete opposites,
Yeah.
and that
And you only drive for success.
yeah, and
That's it.
success is only for certain people. It's only meant for certain people in this life,
Yeah.
right? And if you look at the Bible talks about the glory of God, right? And it's like, but in a lot of aspects, the Bible also says, like, for one of them says, for we have all sinned and we all fall short of the glory of God. Now they talk about that. That's important to note that you're creating a distinction between. You're creating this "you're not good enough" mindset.
Right.
And that is a huge, huge, huge negative because it creates dependency back onto the Bible. The Bible is a book
Right.
at the end of the day. Remember I was saying that religion is a business.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The Catholic Church is probably the Disney of their time. And I know that I won't get a lot of, hopefully I don't get excommunicated for this comment, but the
I don't
Catholic
care about
Church is like the Disney of their time. They put all of this together, the Bible. They made sure it's lasted through time because it's the #1 selling book. It definitely it creates fear. it creates fear, insecurity. It creates all these things. It can be looked at that way, but you correct the lens the right way. And that's, see, I've read it two ways. I've read it where I didn't know what I was doing in this life. I was an insecure kid. I'm still insecure, but insecure in the sense when I was reading it, it's very fearful of everything. And I read it the first time that way, and it really, really was not a fun read. It was horrible.
Yeah.
But then I chose to correct the lens, and I read it as a person of seeing that there's a lot of love from it. There's a lot of good things from it. Now, my point with that is that our society has built itself upon that fear mongering because it's understood that. I think Catholicism is a huge, Christianity as a whole is the reason why we see failure as such a horrible thing. It's not a learning experience or something that can better us from. It just, you live in that moment, and it's crazy. The more I've journaled it so much, and the more you think about it, and you ask yourself, okay, why are my, like, if your parents, so we learn from our parents, right? But at the end of the day, our parents learn from our grandparents.
Right.
But what keeps it going?
Yeah.
And you ask, like, what are the things in society that are keeping us going? Is society itself is built on those constructs of Christianity, right? Like, who talks about it is Little Dicky. He talks about Christianity and how it's pretty fun to read what he talks about Christianity, and because I think he's Jewish, which is still still a form of Christianity.
Right.
Or no, I'm sorry, it's not a form of Christianity. It's a form of I guess it's just monotheism or
monotheism. Yeah, I was gonna say like Catholicism and like Lutheran like are under the main umbrella of like Christianity is like a big umbrella.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you have like Baptist.
All the Protestant religions.
Yeah, all like Lutheran, all
Catholicism's like the old. Yeah, it was like the
so like
everything
we
broke
fall
from
under
that.
we fall under like a huge umbrella. But the monotheism is like the biggest one.
And I feel like if the more you ask yourself, like, and same with your, like, how you see failure or see anything, honestly, it's not even just that. It asks yourself, observe your parents, and then be like, because that's what I do with mine, and then I look and I think about, not necessarily it's Bible thumping or anything, but how much that reflects back into the Bible.
Right.
It's just crazy. It's like almost everything. It's literally almost everything, and that's actually all the bad stuff too. And so I go back to like that whole middle ground thing where the Satanist said, why value good and bad? Because good and bad is failure, right?
Yeah.
Because if you do something that's bad, for example, if in my principles example, if you do something that is not part of your principles, you'll feel horrible because you didn't live up to what you could feel that way. You have to forgive yourself. But the reality is those principles, you have to ask yourself, are they built on the constructs of society and Catholicism or through Lutheranism or parenting, or are they built on what makes you feel good as a person?
Right.
And that's ultimately you need to ask yourself, if I represent that, am I going to feel better? And so it goes back into you won't even care about being a failure if you're fine with what that is.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, so that's like nothing that I figured out. It's more of I'm still learning that path of myself, and it's like
it's like a never-ending like learning path.
More, yeah,
like,
in a good way.
Like, and always like working on yourself like that path.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Because at first I was like, I remember when I went to therapy, it was not a good thing, and then I eventually saw that like the more I opened my mind, the more I knew myself, and the more I knew myself, the more I was like, I asked myself, I'm like, why am I willing to talk and say I believe in certain things that I really don't believe in?
Right.
And I'm reflecting, and I'm saying it because my dad and mom said it.
Right.
Or
just because you've been conditioned to say it, or you've grown up with like.
Yeah, and that's all I know. And is it really that? Do I really care? That's the question. Do I really care? There are things that I think, and I think that's everybody. So it doesn't matter about.
I think it doesn't even have to be religion. I think for a lot of people, like it's just whatever. Like people have that in their life all the time.
I had that problem with food, where like I only ate certain food because like I thought mentally I didn't like it, but I've been told all my life by my mother, like, oh, you wouldn't like that. Oh, you wouldn't like that.
Oh.
And like without me even trying things, and like that to me is like. That is like one of the worst things you could do for your kids, in my opinion. But it's shown me how I want to raise my kids. Like, I feel like
eat your food.
I want my kid to be curious. Like, if my kid wants to try something, I'd be like, go ahead.
You're gonna love this.
Yeah.
They eat like wasabi. Like
this is a lemon.
Yeah, you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. But at the end of the day, you're going to learn.
Is it spicy?
Right?
No.
And I think that's as long. Okay, so this is how I see like failing too. Is like I realize if I wake up the next day. I have all my arms, hands, legs, everything, right?
Ideally.
I'm so grateful. So even though I may have failed yesterday, I am so grateful to wake up another day with, at least somewhat healthy, and I can walk, I can do all these things. Imagine someone who wakes up day in and day out, but they're still optimistic, but they have no arms, no legs, and they struggle with even just like trying to go down to a liquor store and pay for like a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
Like when I think about, so like that's what kind of humbles me too, is like
He's still smoking.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Is that
How
head
he smokes.
rolling?
How he,
yeah,
It's like a head roller.
a bag of chips.
I was like,
okay?
that was so
But
good.
How does he open the
Like-
bag, Garrett?
The struggle's real, man.
I get what you mean by that, but yeah,
Sorry.
just like honestly, the big picture in my mind made me like
Yeah.
life was like that is like true struggle,
Yeah.
and like I think a lot of people take for granted a bunch of shit.
Yeah, and that's why like it helps me like in sales to always try and put myself in the other person's position versus like what I want and what I need out of them.
I mean, the person you're working with, or
if
another
I'm working with a
another
client,
sales.
right?
Okay, so your client.
No, even sales reps or
Okay.
even architects, engineers and stuff. If I'm working with them, I try and put myself in their situation, especially if it's more of a like a high stress situation or like I can tell they're like coming at me in an aggressive way or a negative manner. I try and like slow down, and instead of retaliate back with that same type of energy, I try and say, okay, what is this person going through? Like try and put yourself in their shoes. And it may not even be what they're even going through, but what I try and do is like level the playing field by saying like, okay, they could have just like had the worst news of their life, like someone passed away or something like that, and they're not necessarily mad at me, but they could just be taking it out and deflecting it on me.
Right.
So what can I do to like make the situation better? It all comes down to communication and just talking things out and talking about sometimes the hard things. So like that's why like for me I always just try to relate to the other person versus just like get to their level, because that's how I always was growing up as a kid, is like I was so defensive and like always I used my words a lot to defend myself against bullies, and that's how I was raised, is like if you're going to come into my kitchen and start talking shit, guess what? You're going to get burned at the end of the day. And I made sure every fucking person got burned. But like I realize now, like growing up, like that's just not how life works when you're a grown adult, you know? Like as a kid you can get away with that shit, but when you grow up, you gotta level yourself down. And like as I'm growing up, having like a wife now, and I want to have kids, like I take all these things in consideration, because like I had bad road rage, like extremely bad, to the point where like I would almost get out of my car, right? And like I've had to tone that down, because there's just been so many humbling moments for me where I'm like, I've had my ass beat before, but I haven't had it like super bad, you know? Like I can still walk. So the thing was, like, I realized that there's always going to be someone out there bigger and badder than me. It's just a matter of time if I keep this chip on my shoulder, you know, and don't humble myself.
Yeah.
So, man, thank goodness. I don't know. I think it was mainly because of the fraternity, but thank goodness that those guys in that fraternity humbled me, because my dumb ass would have been in the hospital or jail for sure.
Yeah.
You know, just because I make dumb decisions, or I'm so prideful and defensive. And that's one of the mottos that they first taught me, was like, check your pride at the door. And man, I did not learn that more than going through pledge-up and checking my pride at the door every time. Because man, I thought I was invincible. Like I think that's how I kind of got my wife, because I got done with the fraternity and I was so confident. I was a pretty boy. I had pierced ears, nice hair, skinny. I was fit. And I was just confident, and I was dating a bunch of girls, and then I realized I wanted to settle down with a real woman that had her foundation and goals aligned. And it was funny. I had so much confidence that, like, dude, I was living in a living room at a friend's house with a bunch of friends, right? But I was living in the living room. My only door was a sheet, and I had the most confidence ever that I've ever had in my whole life, bringing her over there. And that's how I knew she was definitely the one for me, was when she was able to just date me and never judge me. I mean, I had no money. We'd go out to Del Taco, hit up the dollar menu. I've never...
That's like the best you're menu. so fancy.
I rarely took her to like fancy restaurants, you know, and it's just like... She told me early on, too, like, it didn't matter where we were, where we ended up in our lives, as long as we were together. As cliche as that sounded to me, I could tell she meant it, but she said... It doesn't matter if we end up being homeless, like, as long as we're together, you know, and healthy, like, that's all that mattered to her in the world. And man, that's huge for someone to say. So it motivated my ass to stop being such a bum. So
I say it a lot, but like, your wife is like one of the, like, you and Beef's wife are like one of the few.
we have angels for sure.
just
Yeah,
the
for sure.
realest ones.
Yeah. We're lucky.
Yeah.
Well, guys, do we want to go through Don't Be That Guy?
Yeah, I think
Or-
if we can get it done in
Yeah,
like
we can
that could
get
be
it.
that. That's
So we
like
can
a
make-
fi-
we can
the
make it
other
quick.
the other one's gonna could embark on like a huge conversation again.
Yeah.
The habit one because
And I think with good reason too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a deep. That can be a very deep topic.
yeah, that
but-
even I feel like that could even there might be one a Junto question on habits. I'm
Yeah.
gonna take a look, but yeah.
So we're gonna do Don't Be That Guy real quick.
About that viral video, you know, you're not that guy.
Okay, by the way, that has blown up pretty. That's gone pretty well. People have come up with some very clever ones that I'm a very big fan of.
Yeah.
Because I know that for a fact without that video, I've said that to people, like in gym settings for the gym videos I've seen, and I'm just like, God, I should have fucking made this because like I've definitely told people that before this even was a video. So
Stacking 3 plates.
yeah,
You're not that guy.
you're not
pal.
that pal.
You're not that guy.
And they're like, you are? Well, not today, but someday.
Yeah.
But don't be that guy. So we're gonna go around. We're gonna say something real quick about don't be that guy in a certain situation or gal. I'll go first. I'll start us off. So my don't be that guy is traffic related. Don't be that guy that gets on somebody's ass or their bumper in the left lane. Like if you're doing like 80 to 85 on the freeway, don't be that guy that gets on my bumper doing 80 because you think I'm not going fast enough on the freeway. Okay.
God.
So just don't be that guy, pal.
Are you that guy?
I apologize.
I'm definitely not that guy.
My wife is that guy.
That incentivizes me to literally let up off the gas
She-
pedal,
she
and I
yeah.
just coast, and then I just watch my speedometer go
She's not a fast. She's not
like
fast,
this,
Yeah.
and I watch you get closer and closer, and I watch you get pissed off more and more, and then the bigger smiles on my face, and then you get pissed off, and you just like do one of these, like you get in the carpool lane or whatever. My favorite thing. So that's my don't be that guy. Oh yeah, I'm a sick son of a bitch on the road sometimes. So.
So my wife doesn't speed up, but she really unknowingly
Tailgates?
Close.
Tailgates?
really close, and it's just
Whoa.
like I'm like.
Are you like white knuckling it in the passenger seat?
I feel like
You and
that's, like,
you're holding
for most
Walter?
men, like with their girls, it's
Yeah.
like I'm so nervous in the car with
Yeah,
mine too.
and it's weird because I'm like, how the end game is not good if you break here.
If he just breaks.
It's like, and I'm just like, and I say something, and then it's not usually not a good sign to
Yeah,
say anything.
yeah.
So it's
But
like
you know deep down, like there's so many scenarios that can come into play.
it's
to
just
make this
one
go
bad
yeah.
thing could humble
totally
the
get
situation,
you.
and it's not one thing I want her to learn though. You know, I want it to be
Yeah, when it
learned.
comes to something like that.
Yeah, it's
I
like
agree
just-
with you.
yeah, it's like
I
My
believe.
wife's the
Yeah.
same way. She thinks like the road is Mario Kart, you know, and she
Yeah.
can weave
Just
in
gonna
and
throw
out.
banana peels at people.
Oh, no.
What? Like, and then I'm like,
Those
dude,
poor turtles.
I tried to help her by like saying, time yourself. Like, see if it actually matters. Do one day very casual, not rushing,
Mhm.
and then swap one day. Do rushing if you want, and then see if that actually matters. I promise you, it probably doesn't, because she takes side streets. It's like there's no need to cut people off, weave in and out of traffic when you end up stopping at the same stoplight.
Is that your don't be that guy? Or what is your don't be that guy?
Oh my gosh! Can you go
Yeah.
around?
Oh.
Okay.
Nightmare Field, what's your don't be that guy? Hit me,
That
hit
wasn't
us.
mine.
Yeah.
Hit us
I
with
guess
it.
mine. It would go. It would go back to my Stephen Crowder, Ethan.
Oh,
Klein.
okay.
Don't be that guy that breaks gentlemen's agreements or
Yeah.
doesn't live up to your word as much as you can. Like your word is at the end. Like to use the phrase we always use. At the end of the day, your word is almost your bond. It is your bond. It's almost all you have. And if you
that's
Go
from
again.
that book,
which book?
John Proctor,
Odyssey.
The Crusade. Is it John Proctor?
Crucible?
Crucible. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Remember he said, "Oh, go ahead."
I don't remember it, but I trust that you have remembered that book more than I have. But
I'm gonna quote you
yeah.
because you're gonna love this line. But go
Yeah.
ahead, keep going.
That's another like Me Too book too. Like why you shouldn't just believe anything everybody
Yeah,
says.
yeah, exactly.
Like your word is all you have, and if you go against it, you lose all your credibility. You lose
You're gonna love this.
all of
quote.
the trust that you've built with the community, with your friends, with
We should
your
just
family.
go back to the cowboy age. I think we'd fit in perfectly.
I'd be down.
I already have my boots.
Unbelievable history.
Hey, yeah, I was just gonna say. Wait a minute, didn't we do this already? Deja vu.
So don't be that guy
dinosaurs.
don't be that guy that goes back on their word
yeah,
and back out on, especially a gentleman agreement like that. Like that was a big thing.
yeah.
So Goichi or Beef? Did you want me to go? Do you want me to go to him first before you go? Okay, so
Yeah, I've
Beef.
got mine.
Oh,
I
so you
wanna
got
s-
your okay. Go.
I want to say that. Well, I know we're trying to get this done in a certain amount of time. So, but I want to say this. This is a movie. So anyone that doesn't want to read it, it's about The Crucible is a movie about the Salem witch trials.
Yeah.
So it was about a period where this happened in real life, like
Yeah.
where like people were like accused of being witches and then they're fucking killed for it. So and these people are real people. I'm trying to find the full thing, but I'll just
Another stone. I know that. I remember that one.
So wait, that's what the Crucible is about? Is about the Salem witch trials, or it goes along with what you were gonna say?
yeah. So the Crucible is about that. So
Okay.
the Crucible is written almost like a play, because you would have a character. I'd have a
Mhm.
character in the chapter, and then like we read. It'd say like John Proctor this, Abigail, and then whomever.
Oh, so like both people are in the book like that, like it's back and forth.
Yeah, but it's like multiple people, and it's
Gotcha.
written. So it's written kind of like how. So you would read it.
It's a lot
like
of
this.
dialogue.
Well, it's a lot. Yeah, it's a dialogue book,
Oh, okay.
but the intention, and you can read it just normally. But if you're in school, it's actually a great one because someone could be John Proctor,
Right.
And I had the privilege of being John Proctor in this exact moment, and it hit me damn deep because Daniel Day-Lewis acted this out in the scene, and it's epic. But it goes back. Here it is. So to give context, he's about to be hung for being a witch.
Mhm.
They're saying he's a witch, right? So he's about to be killed by the town. The town's like, we're gonna kill you. And anyone that knows this book is that John Proctor had slept out of he cheated on his wife with Abigail, and so people kind of knew that. And so his character was already in question as a human, like as a person. So he says, because it is my name, because I cannot have another in my life, because I lie and I sign myself to lies, because I am not worth the dust on the feet of them you have hanged. How may I live without my name? I have given you my soul. Leave me my name. It's like one of the deepest things, because in that moment, he says, because I lie and I sign myself to lies, because he had lied to his wife, and he had lied to the people, like he had promised to God not cheat on his wife, right? And then he says, because I am not worth the dust on the feet of them you have hanged. The people that didn't said, so if you said you were a witch, you got released. So if you were like, I'm a witch, they were like, you're forgiven. You'd go to like do penance and you're done. But if you said I'm not a witch, I don't believe in witches, I'm not a witch, they hung you. And so he says, because I have lied and signed myself, so he's talking about himself, because I am not worth, and he's talking about what he did as a person, I'm not worth the dust on the feet of them that you have hanged. So he's saying that those people are even stronger than he is, because he's begging, and those people just said, hang me, because they died for what they believed in. And it's a big part of it, because it's a deep part. But how may I live without my name? And my name is like my word.
Mm-hmm.
Your word, but your name is a representation of your word, like who you are and your word. And it's one of my favorite. It's one of the deep. I got to say it and it gave me goosebumps when I read. A few times in a book I've gotten goosebumps reading it. So yeah, I wanted to read that. I'll send it to you.
That's
yeah,
a damn good one.
I want you to watch the Daniel Day-Lewis just say it. You don't even need to watch the movie, but if you
love
watch
Daniel
it,
Day-Lewis,
I've
by the
seen
way.
Yes,
some of,
it's
I've
great.
seen
He's great
some
in
of
it
the
too.
movie. I've seen the guy get crushed by like you get hanged or you get crushed by the rocks.
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
just kept saying more rocks.
Yeah,
Dude, what a badass.
yeah. Guy
So
went
what's
on
your
top.
actual unbelievable unbelievable history?
What's your actual don't be that guy?
Yeah, don't be that guy.
Mine is
Don't be that guy that goes on tangents.
cutting in lines.
Yep.
Like if you just cut in a line, like we talked about we kind of talked this before, but
It's pretzel day.
yeah, if like it could be like a normal line, like it's a normal
Settle
line
down,
where
Scott.
that you have like it's designated like the place you're at a place or like a fast food place or you're at Disneyland. It's evident that is a line, 100%. Nobody's doubting that's a line. But then there's times where we as a group of people, we've been given this situation where the organization or the entity has not given us an actual line, and we've had to come together and start creating this universal line. It's almost like a good faith situation.
Yeah.
Like this person got in this line,
So you got behind them.
and then it continued. And then you have some jack off that
Use
like
your
comes
brain,
he comes in
dummy.
he comes in or she comes in and they're like they look at everybody and they're like
Yeah.
they're like, well, you know what? The entity never said that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
No
somehow
shame.
I'm
and
better than the group.
and I have gotten to witness that firsthand, where I just sit there and I watch them like get in the Chick-fil-A line before me.
Have you
not at the
confronted
Lord's
anybody?
Chicken.
It
I u-
happens at In-N-Out too, unless they're
I
regulated.
used to confront
regulate.
people.
Yeah.
And now he blesses them.
I used to confront people a lot. As I've gotten older, same thing that G had said about cars. It's just not, the end game's not worth it. It ruins my day.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, I still get Chick-fil-A.
That's
Like
true.
I still got.
And there's a lot
got-
more crazier people nowadays.
And that
Yeah.
shit fixes everything.
Well, it's like at the end, like if it's something where like we're getting to the like if it's like Jingle All the Way, the movie Jingle All the Way, where like I need that ball, where like that ball scene, or I need the Turbo Man.
Because it's Turbo Time.
Yeah, because I
Great
need the
movie,
Turbo.
by the
Yeah,
way.
it's like if
Great
I needed
movie.
a Turbo Man and there's the last Turbo Man, then I totally see
Seriously.
it very differently. Like it's all like, but then again, at that point, I don't think lines would even justify.
But that's
anymore.
every man for yourself. If you're
Yeah.
If anyone stayed in line at Black Fridays, they do
Yeah.
not matter.
Yeah,
If
it's
you're-
like, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
if you
that's
have
another.
your
Yeah.
Turbo Man and someone cuts in line in front of you, then I think that's different than going after something that's on the shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if let's say like there was
A line
because
of them handing them out.
But let's say an unnatural line, like, because there's definitely either way cutting is bad. But
Mhm.
the one where there's a lot of situations where
Let's just say toilet paper, because that was a real thing.
yeah, that's like
Oh,
exactly
yeah.
at Costco. Like
That was a
people
thing.
would like literally like you could tell people were standing, and there was a certain area, a designated
Yeah.
area where they were grabbing, and so it wasn't necessarily a line, but people were waiting, and then they
Being
would like go,
respectful.
and then you have this like one
Humane.
person come through with a car, and they're like pushing through, and I'm the type that I like get right in front of them, I
Oh,
block
yeah.
them,
Oh, yeah.
and
Box
then
them out.
and then in the freeway I do this too
Nice.
when it's one of those merge lanes and someone's coming over
Yeah, I'm
into
like
the
that too.
I will cut all the way over to the right side and I'll block them, and man, I've upset so many people, but I'm like, what are you thinking? Like, why are you upset at me? You're upset
Yeah.
at your life. Like, you are upset at your life, and
and
like,
you're bad.
Because you
Yeah,
just didn't get your way right
yeah,
now.
yeah, exactly. You just wanted one step before me, but I needed to stop that person. I needed to just get that back. Sometimes I do that, and in that passive
Big rigs do
aggressive.
that a lot too.
What?
Big rigs, they'll do that. They'll
Yeah,
pull on the
block
side
them
of-
out. Yeah, it's like I mean, that is the little passive aggressive mindset that I can impose on someone else.
Yeah.
But like
I
I
love
just
doing
because
that.
in my mind I just sit there and I'm like, how can you be that guy? Like, I'm not that guy.
That was very well how you.
Yeah.
That was full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've got one tiny little story about like cutting. Is when like back when I worked at McDonald's. That's when I was like in high school. Literally, it was like super busy, like line almost out the door, and I was on the register like taking orders, just trying to get everyone out. And this one like old Asian guy kept like just jumping in like in front of like 5 or 6 people, like just jumping in like I want this like just making orders. And I like after after the first time, I would ignore him and take the person's order behind him, and like we would just ignore him until he like actually got in line. It was awesome.
You didn't even say anything.
Nope. Didn't say anything.
That's like.
That's
Did
so
he?
nice.
What was his like response when you didn't? Like, did he?
He was like
Was he like, hey?
he was like indignant, like how dare you not like don't you see I'm first right now? Like I'm in front of your register, so you take my order. But
Do you think he knew? He knew he was cutting, or
I don't know.
or like
Maybe. He had
I
to.
have seen
He
I've
had
se-
to
I've
have.
seen that with people where like they just like F it, and I'm
He
I'm
had
for
to
it.
have known that he was
My wife
cutting.
and I have had a huge argument about this, about like cutting and stuff. And she doesn't identify it as cutting, but we're at that famous taco place in Vegas.
Gordo.
Del Taco.
Oh yeah, that's a great
Gordo.
that's a great example of Taco
'Cause
Cell
their lines
Gordo.
are
Yeah.
fucking
I
crazy.
got you.
Yeah, Taco
So-
Cell Gordo is a great
got you.
example of this.
Yeah, so this taco place, Beef and I have been there too, but I was there with my wife and family. We're standing in line, and this place is so packed that the lines not only go out the door, once you get in, it's backed up to the wall. So,
Yeah.
and the worst part of it is like to get to the seating area, to get to pay, you have to go on the opposite end and try and get through this line
Yeah.
of people.
But
right?
there's like 5
okay,
lines.
and that's
Kinda
the
sounds
worst
like-
part too.
it's kinda sounds like
There's
Shake Shack.
different
For
there's
El
different lines
Pastor and for-
different
yeah,
meats.
yeah.
So like if you want 3 different kinds of meats, you gotta wait in 3 different lines
Yeah.
over and over.
It's so good though.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it is worth it.
Yeah, it's
but
really-
so
Can
my
they
family split
optimize
up.
this?
Well, we split up and we took orders of who wanted what, and
Mm-hmm.
then that person was supposed to get what they wanted, right? So my wife and I, she literally cut in front of an old couple, just one, because she thought she was first in line. I was like, babe, even if we were ahead of them, like, just let them go. If they're an old couple and like people are. Like, I'm protecting us right now
Yeah.
from other people nudging us, So just let them go. And, dude, she had this huge blowout. We got in a huge fight. And I'm just like, this is, like, where my morals, like, or, like, I guess, like, my way of living, like, come into play versus hers. Like, the way she was raised.
The principle of the thing.
The principle, yeah. And I'm just like, I could not understand. I was more frustrated that she was, like, that disrespectful to that older couple,
Mhm.
And we got through it, but it's like, I'm with you guys there too. Like,
Yeah.
there's no need to. Everyone's going to get fed eventually. It's just about having some fucking patience.
Yeah.
And I don't think unless you're like on a lunch break, but this was like middle of the fucking night. You know, like we're out in Vegas. No one's in a rush, and I think that's why I cherish and love Hawaii so much. I never feel rushed in anything I do.
Oh, Hawaii time.
Unless I'm with like a horrible person, like traveling there with someone who's like doesn't want to just chill, you know, then it's a horrible experience for me. But like they want to go.
totally me.
Who could that? Who could that? Who could that
Yeah,
be?
that's literally me. I just like I need
One
to like I
person
need to go
laugh
hike.
right away.
You've never been to Hawaii yet, so you might have this like epiphany
Yeah,
where
my,
you
wife-
chill,
my
you know.
my wife forces me to do like one day of chilling and one day of hiking.
See, that's
yeah,
good.
That's
I
like
want to see
the-
beef and a
Even
grass
your-
skirt
even
and a
your
coconut
chilling
bra,
is-
which
It's
I
okay.
have at the
Time.
house. So one day you will.
I'm telling you though,
I'm like-
Hawaii, you just like it probably takes a couple days to finally unwind, but like it is just so like awesome that you're just like you don't care about anything.
My aunt's gonna move there.
Huh?
She's moving there. She'll buy a
Really?
house there.
The
Yeah.
one that owns all the real estate?
Different aunt, but she owns a lot of real estate too. She owns like
Okay.
yeah, she's in a
Must be nice, dude.
Yeah,
I
she's- yeah.
wish. I
So
could
what's
retire
your-
in Hawaii.
So what's your don't be that guy?
Man, I don't really have a good one.
Don't
but
be that guy who doesn't relax in Hawaii.
Yeah, that's
God,
a
if
good
you
one.
can't, you got some problems if you can't.
Mine would be don't be that guy that, a guy or girl, don't be that person that asks for advice. Like literally, you're asking for advice, right? About certain something, even if it's like a technical subject. Because I had this all the time at work. Don't ask me about something technical, and then I'm trying to explain it to you, and you try and tell me what's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
And like
Oh,
you
I
don't
thought
even
this
let
was
me
like
finish.
help me and then
Like
oh wait,
ab?
you're wrong.
Yeah, and
Well,
you
you put that
literally
out
tell
there.
me
Wow.
I'm wrong, and
Yeah.
I'm like,
I don't know what I'm talking
I
about, but
could've
I know
sworn
that
you
you're
just-
wrong.
I could have sworn you just asked me
It's
about
true.
this
It's
question
in my head.
that you knew nothing
Yeah.
about. Like, why?
I think
How are
it's in
you
his head,
correcting
too.
me?
Right.
You know? So
Yeah, you just asked me what 2 + 2 was.
Yeah,
I
you
said
seriously
4,
did.
and you just said no. You're fucking wrong. Get out
Was
of
it
here.
Exactly.
Did someone inspire you for this?
Was it me?
no, it was really from work. It
Oh, it
was
was
from
work?
work,
Oh.
working in the data center days.
Uh-huh.
where I
Oh, damn.
So I trained
That's
guys
a
from like
shoot and miss.
UCI, UCLA with all these like science degrees, science technology degrees.
Yeah.
And they think they're hot shots, and they're like, well, I read it in a book. I'm like, well, I've fucking done it like 100 times over again today.
Booked.
But
Yeah, seriously. So
I've got
it would
piece of
just annoy
paper.
me. So at one point, there was one coworker I had, and he was just such a piece of shit because he wasn't a team player. Anytime something difficult came in for a request, he'd literally walk out the door, and he would either take. I swear to you, he would take a stroll.
Is he 10 years
He would
old?
go in the data center.
Yeah.
He'll just look at servers, and I'd go in there. I'd be like, I'll say his name, Sean. What are you fucking doing? And
It'd be
he's
a
like,
fucking Sean.
I'm fixing the server. I'm like, you don't even have the fucking cabinet open, bro. So I know you're not doing anything. You're just
We're dropping names
burning
in this
time.
one.
Yeah.
And then he would take a bathroom break. He'd take a lunch break. It was like clockwork with him. Like we could even fake a request, and he would guarantee leave. We'd safe bet.
What?
So at
Way
the
to
end
go,
of the day,
Sean.
this guy was not a team player. Did not care about anyone. Would always leave work behind for the next shift people to do. And I hate that. Like I did ticketing systems for tech work, like tech requests, right? And I made sure whatever I took, when I had 1 hour left of my job, that was my grind time to get all my work done. So the next people coming in, they just handle the new tickets. They don't have to deal with my bullshit that's like quarter way done, halfway done. Just get it done and over with. And then the people coming in, they could take all the fresh new tickets. So that was kind of like the shindig that we had going on at our old company. But yeah, Sean was just, honestly, he was a piece of shit. I mean, there was Christmas parties where he like wanted to be introduced to my wife. I'm like, you never earned that. I was like, because you're not a team player. You didn't give a fuck about the team.
He's that guy.
Or the guys you work with. So
You just
He
get
is
to look at
that
her
guy.
across the room,
Yeah,
Sean.
Guy.
Yeah.
he is that guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I do not like. Because
Dude,
the day
just
he did that
bailing
to
on
me,
work like that, like tickets and stuff.
oh,
that
and then
is
he
so
asked me the
shitty.
question too. Like he's that guy that asked me the question, you know, how to do something. Then he tried to correct me midway as I'm talking to him. You know what I did? I walked away and never talked to him again.
Yeah. Suck it, Sean.
Yeah.
I'm actually glad we did this one
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I've probably thought about like 10 don't be that guys on the road. There were other traffic things related, but also just in life in general, especially working in the restaurant business again. Beefy. I mean, well,
Beefy.
we all know we've all been in
Yeah.
customer service in one shape or another,
Yeah.
but we always come across this
I
stuff.
think
But I'm
we've all
actually
been in restaurant business too.
Yeah.
To some degree.
yeah, we've always dealt with people when it comes to their food and that, and it always can get ugly. But I'm actually really glad we did this one because I didn't actually think some of the stuff I thought about, but I'm always happy to hear stories about some of this stuff because it makes me.
Yeah, you could
it reminds me I'm not
you
the
could
only
do a
one.
ranking system on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like top
This is a
gold.
revisit
Like your
one,
top
too.
3 don't
yeah,
be that, guys.
Yeah, the gold. Like do a
Medal
go to
round?
Medal round. Yeah, this one because it's
That's
like
not a bad idea.
yeah, because there's a handful that because
I like
I was
how
that
even
actually-
even golf etiquette
Yeah.
is
Oh.
like golf etiquette's a whole.
We've
don't
all
be-
we've
don't
all
be
got
like
we've
that.
all gotten pissed about golf stuff. Like when we play
Yeah.
about other people.
Yeah.
Like there's been many a times where we've been golfing and we're in our carts and we're
True.
like, fuck this guy. And I think the last time we all played together at Willowick, we're like, screw this, and we just like passed like a bunch of people because they're taking forever and they're a huge group. So
Yeah.
Was it last time? Because I feel like we've it
it
hasn't
might have been
been
it might have been 2 times ago at Willowick, but I know you guys played there when I was in Iowa still. So
Yeah,
We
we've
I think
played,
it's-
we played at Riverview and we skipped a couple people. And
I think that might have been it.
was that it?
How
And
long
then
ago was this? It was a while ago.
It was when we.
It was on
talked to,
spring break
Yeah.
because that's what we played because I was trying to figure out my flight situation on
that's
like
we talked to that moving guy, and then there was that guy
Yeah.
that tried to give me tips. I don't think you were there for that.
We
Oh, maybe not.
He was
skipped?
We
Yeah.
skipped like a whole one. I remember when we played there when I was here because I was trying to
Green
figure
River,
out how to-
right?
Green River.
Yeah,
Green River.
because I was trying to figure out how the hell I was going to get back to Iowa. After
So I
that
remember
snowstorm came
where-
through, and I missed like 2 or 3 holes in a row.
Oh, so I remember that, but I didn't remember skipping.
I think we
Oh,
skipped
you meant
ahead.
just skip? You mean just skip? But I don't
Yeah.
remember we jumped people, did we?
Yeah, I think we
I think
jumped a
so.
group. I think we jumped a group because they were moving really slow, and so we just like finished or we skipped a hole, and then we just went to the back.
I
nine.
don't remember this. Do you?
Or maybe not, maybe it was another time. We've
I don't
definitely
remember it
We've
jumping,
we've definitely thought about it.
I'm trying to
at least.
remember, like, if you said Willowick, I'm trying to remember, like, the last time we've jumped. Because I'm
I know
pretty.
we did jump. I just don't remember which one.
Yeah, I don't
was,
feel like
like,
it was
right
Green
before
River.
Definitely jumped,
Maybe
though.
not.
Yeah, because I don't remember jumping that. I remember sitting there thinking, man, it sucks that you're not having a good. Like, you were stressed.
Yeah, so like trying to find out how the hell I'm gonna
Yeah,
fly
and then we
back.
streamed. We
Yeah,
And
streamed
my
the whole
boss,
time.
and,
Yeah.
I knew my boss was secretly super pissed because he's like, I had teams on Monday, and I'm like, yeah, sorry, like I don't know if I'll be able to be back on Monday, and it's just like,
Yeah.
yikes.
Wasn't there like weather? going
Yeah,
on
no,
there?
yeah, like Denver was getting pelted with
An
like 9
act
feet
of
snow.
God.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, like-
and I finally have it, and
El
then they're like,
Nino.
and then they're like, we don't care actually, so we just
All
said that to be
tropical
nice.
storms
Spanish
bow
to
to
El
El
Nino.
Nino.
It's Spanish for
God.
I am
The Nino.
the Nino.
For those of you who don't habla español.
God, that's
Alright.
when Saturday Night Live was good.
I think after Don't Be That Guy, that puts a wrap for it this week.
oh yeah,
We're gonna get to
Breaking the
What was
breaking the habit.
Breaking the Habit.
That's how we're gonna just introduce the
Yeah,
next segment.
Yeah, well,
Just not get
I
like that.
We'll
We're
have
just
2
gonna-
segments.
We're just gonna
scheduled,
give you that
I
little
like
cracker
that.
there,
Sorry, Matt
Polly.
Damon, we wouldn't have you today.
we had to push. We had to bump
Call
him.
him.
Dude. But we'll have Breaking the Habit next week, and then we'll leave that open pretty much because that's gonna be a long discussion. I think that can open some doors. So,
Yeah, that'll be fun.
but
Do our sponsor.
until that happens, it'll be 7 days until we're back here again, and we will have live streaming going on. We will have clips and well, I don't want to say reels, but clips for everybody that will be posted up. So if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Make sure you have us added as a friend on TikTok. Our whole link tree is available on all the social media accounts. Make sure you're kind of wired up with everything at the same time, and so nothing is missed. But without further ado, I bid everybody a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Hey, guys.
Chat.